Hello. Yeah, hi. Good morning. Today is a Monday, and we are back with our life beginnings and always. If you missed it, I did stream this game on Saturday as well. So it's a little further in. We got a new CG. This one. Look, we got a CG. Oh wait, he's wearing the wrong clothes. Hold up. Also, I've been back and forth as to which pants it was, but I paid very close attention last time, and it is these ones, so. But yeah, there you have it. We have it. We got the CG last time, so that's cool. Yeah, so we did 2 moments. We did family and we did dinner. They were a little intense, but you know, we got through it. Oh, I also sometimes after playing, I go and I look up like what my options are resulting in so far. And so far, my step 3 cove doesn't have glasses. And it's very, very, very sad to me. I believe it was like this. This is the prediction based on the guide. I haven't gone through completely. And I'm not choosing options like based on that. But if I recall correctly, this is what he looks like so far based on the options that have been chosen. Last time I could have given him glasses and I did not. But we'll see. I feel like there's something else I should be saying right now, but I am majorly blanking. Okay, so I don't know how long it'll take me to go through road trip, but we'll do road trip today, and then maybe at least the end scene of summer. Yeah, and then after that, because if depending on how long I do road trip for, I'll either do the end scene of summer, the end scene and the in between, or also the prologue. But I don't think I'll do the whole prologue, so I'll probably stop either after the in between finishes or after the end scene finishes. So like when the in between is starting, so that way it's like in a spot. But it only depends on how long I take to do these things. You know me. I take a while. Dang it, I forgot water. That's okay. Hang on. I should have water. I'm not going to leave, but I was thinking like, dang, I should have brought myself a water because it's a lot of reading. Hold up. Okay. Well, anyway. I'm still behind on uploading my videos, which I guess I'll talk about more at the end. But I don't know. I do other things in the day. So well, it depends on what you consider behind. You know, what do you really consider behind? I don't know. I'm laughing at myself again. So I guess let's get started. Even though you were awake, the sun had barely peeked its head above the horizon, and the sky above was still dark, though lightening by the minute. Usually, you wouldn't be up so early, especially during summer vacation, but today was different. Today, instead of the lazy days you were used to, everything around you was a flurry of activity as both your family and Coves prepared for what lay ahead. Because parked in the street just outside your house was a massive RV camper, so big you couldn't even see Cove's house behind it. His parents had rented the RV for a few days to take him on a short road trip to see the Redwood National Park. He glanced at Cove, who was standing nearby, taking in the scene in front of him. The prospect of the trip had to be a mixed bag for him, but it only... Sorry, I had to pause because I always get like self-conscious about whether or not the mic is on. And let me lower it. It looks like it's really loud. Like, I didn't notice before, but there's like this little bar that turns red at the very end, and I'm like, ooh, hang on. If I'm too quiet, someone will let me know, I'm sure. Or I'll find out eventually. Okay. Film major advice that I learned from my high school film classes is that audio is more important than video. I think different people might say different things, but one of my teachers have said audio is more important than the video. So I try to make sure the audio is good. Yeah, I'm a film major, or was a film major. I consider myself still a film major. Anyways, I apologize. I will carry on now. The prospect of the trip had to be a mixed bag for him, but it was only 3 days, so it seemed he was dealing with it as best he could. Especially now that you and your family were joining them. You weren't sure how exactly it happened. You knew your parents and Coves spoke to each other often, and somewhere along the way, plans were made after Cliff offered to share the space. The parents all thought it was a fantastic idea. You had already gotten a good look inside while helping to load everything in, and you had to admit that while it was a really big car, fitting that many people inside was going to be snug.
Let's go.
Move it or lose it, kiddo. Mom bustled past with a cooler in one hand and a large bottle of water under the other. She was upbeat for this early in the morning. Ma, however, seemed to be on the other side of the wavelength. She followed behind her wife, dragging her feet on every step. I'm gonna need a whole jug of coffee once we hit the road. You could relate to Ma. It was way too early. Personally, you were raring to go. You were as raring to go as your mom. You felt like you were a middle ground between the two. Okay, this is a good question. So I know that for Kia, she's this one. I remember I answered something like this in the Now and Forever playthrough. She was up and at it in the morning, ready for the day. Miles, however, would be more like this, because I don't think Miles is an early bird, or at least not. I mean, anyways, Miles would probably be this one. Ryan feels like he'd be this one, but I think he's actually this one, and I think Paisley's this one. Leilani's probably this one. Sabrina's probably this one. Frankie's definitely this one. I guess Ty can be this one. You just tried to keep up and took in some deep breaths. The air was still a little damp from dew, but you didn't mind it. And then, at the end of the chain, came your sister. She had a bone to pick before the trip officially started. Her rattling off critiques added some level of normalcy to everything new going on.
Ugh.
I don't get why I can't sleep in the bed tonight. Ty is the youngest, and I'll never fall asleep in that loft. We're trying to make things fair on everyone. If you want to play the older card, you should be offering to take the loft both nights. It's important for big siblings to make sacrifices for their younger ones. Elizabeth huffed, not happy with that answer in the slightest, and folded her arms, leaning back against the side of the RV. The trip plans had been nailed down prior. The sleeping arrangements included. Elizabeth still held on to her objections with them. Okay, I can read. There was a main area of the RV with a couch, loft, and some floor space. At the end of the car was a room with a large bed. Your moms were sharing the bed. Kyra was on the couch, and father and son intended to sleep on the floor. The adults determined you and Elizabeth would switch between the small loft above the driver's seat and sharing the bed with the moms. You were fine with the arrangements. You were excited to sleep in the loft. You felt sharing a bed with your parents was going to be awkward. You were looking forward to a sleepover with your moms. You weren't too happy either, but didn't want to make a fuss. You thought it was unfair that Cove had to sleep on the floor. Okay, Ty. I've narrowed it down to 3. But it might be this one, cause, well, Sorry, yeah, I'm gonna go back through my characters because I don't want to, cause if I have the option to play it differently based on character, I might as well make sure that I'm keeping that in mind because I'm gonna play the game eventually again, whether it's on here or on my own, I gotta leave some stuff open for myself to see. Cause Miles would definitely be this one. Miles is definitely this one. I think Kia is this one. Leilani is this one. I think Ryan might be this one, and also Frankie, and maybe Paisley. Paisley's either this one or this one. Sabrina. Sabrina's this one. Just clicks this one. I don't know. I'm feeling this one more as I go on. Well, no, because Ty's someone who kind of feels bad about a lot of things, so he might be this one. See, it's always the simple options. It's always the simple options I get stuck on. It's like, wait, hold up. Hold up, wait a minute. Usnavi is leaving us for the Dominican Republic. Meeting this little girl that I'm in the She was my babysitter first. That was Carnival del Barrio from Lin-Manuel Miranda's musical In the Heights. I try to remember to mention what songs I am singing when I start singing a song, because I do sing songs a lot, so it's only fair to point them out sometimes. Because just in case you're like, what song was that? Now you know. Well, but I do think he probably is looking forward to sleeping with it, just having a sleepover, because I make characters who adore their moms. Well, Ty and Miles both do, so maybe I should just click it because it is kind of you know. See, this is gonna take a second if I keep doing everything like this. Okay. We're going with this one. I know, it doesn't make it very different from Miles, but that's okay because the character's kind of spread out anyway. I know, I didn't click on this one. I don't even think I had a character that I said, yeah, I could probably do that one. But, I don't know. I just flipped the coin. It said to do the top option. This is the top option. But, okay. It would be just like the old days when you were really little and you used to spend nights in their room. All right, you lot. Does everyone have everything they need? We're heading out in 5 minutes. Now's the time to double check. You don't want to forget something important. At the word, Elizabeth yelped and dashed back into the house, her bedhead hair bouncing behind her as she went. Ma came over and gave you a smile, setting her hands on her hips. How about you, Ty? Do you have all your clothes packed? Toiletries, deodorant, floss? Anything else you can think of? You were confident you had it all. You aren't sure about that. Oh, you had to run back inside for something. You just gave her a flat look. Okay, so Ty, I think he's typically pretty prepared, or like tries to have everything, has everything in order. I'm leaning towards one of these two for Ty because I think he would at least consider it, you know. Sorry, excuse me. Alright, okay, maybe I'll see this one, and if I doubt it, I'll go back and click this one. Or, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. I feel like I'm forgetting something, but I can't remember what. Ma chuckled and gave you a squeeze on the shoulder. I get like that on trips too, so I learned to pack extra in case I or anyone else forgets. With the amount of supplies we've stuffed into the RV, I think we'll be okay. It's only a few days after all. Thanks, Ma. Yeah, I think that was a good option. See, this game knows. It knows what you're trying to convey. With a few minutes left to spare before leaving, you mentally went over what you had packed for the trip. Clothes, a pillow and blanket, usual day-to-day gear for most people. You also had more personal things, such as for sure his camera. This is probably a multiple option one, so I'm trying to decide what order to click on them simply because I don't know if this one actually has an effect on anything, but you know, they have multiple options, and sometimes the multiple option choices have effects based on the options, but I guess I don't know what their effects are anyway. I don't even know if this is an option that affects anything besides just saying what it has. Ty is a reader. You packed one of your old favorites and a new one you never tried before. You knew you'd have plenty of time for them both on such a long drive. Portable gaming console. This has books. And there's a long drive. Oh, he's only bringing 2 books. Should he bring his makeup Sorry, I was looking through the options. Did I read them all? Wait, did I read them all? Did I read the options? A portable gaming console, pencils and paper, your favorite stuffed animal, a couple of things to read, a bag of makeup, a ball, your camera, an MP3 player with headphones. Right, so we said he's gonna bring that, some books. I don't know if there's a limit to how much stuff he could bring though. So we'll definitely say his camera, because he's definitely bringing his camera. That's who Ty is. He's a photographer and a film student. It was just a little pocket camera you had gotten from your mom's, but you couldn't miss the opportunity to take some new snaps. Well, he's got books and he's got his camera, so he might not need it, but would he bring it just in case? Oops, I didn't mean to hit that. We'll bring it just in case. The drive to Redwood National Park would take an entire day one way, so you wanted to make sure you had a way to entertain yourself while traveling there and back. Yeah, just in case, he reads everything. Ty's an avid reader. Probably why him and Leilani are friends. Not why they're friends, but it probably helps. They're both avid readers. Oh, I dropped my eyelid. Yeah, goodness. Okay. We'll say that's everything. Yeah, we'll say that's everything. Hey, let me get that for you, Ty. I'll stow it in the RV. There's a few spots left, it'll fit. There's a few spots left, it'll fit. It'll fit, okay. I can't. What does it have to do with it? You let Kyra take your bag and gave her a grateful smile. With nothing left to do, you watched the others getting ready for the trip. Kyra and Cliff seemed to have the most energy of anyone. They were finishing packing the suitcases away while your moms had gone to lock up the house. They high-fived whenever another one got crammed into the storage compartments of the vehicle. Even though your own parents were more low-key than coves, you could tell they were both excited for the trip. It had been a while since your family had been away anywhere together. Elizabeth skipped towards the RV, a bag slung over her shoulder. You were surprised she seemed more optimistic about the whole ordeal now. Usually she wasn't one to exit the confines of her room unless it was for TV or food or to leave her family behind to be with friends. You would have thought 3 whole days packed in an RV with 6 others would be too much for her, but it was a nice surprise. You supposed any vacation was better than no vacation in her mind. Cove had been pretty quiet so far, and more than anything, seemed to be overwhelmed by the situation. You were excited for the trip too. You weren't very excited for the trip either. You were eager to get to the destination. You were curious about the RV. You didn't feel much either way about the plans. I think he's excited for the trip, or is he eager to get to the destination? Excited for the trip, eager to get to the destination, because they're just slightly different, Like excited for the trip is like the whole trip, Like, oh, we're going on a trip all of us together, and we're gonna go see this cool thing, and we're gonna go da 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 da. But like eager for the destination is like, I can't wait to get to the location. Shoot. Okay. But, you know, there's all the sights you might be able to see during the trip. Even if some, like, it can at sometimes probably get a little repetitive, like when you're looking at sites, because, you know, there's like similarities in the way that structures are built and everything. But, you know, I think he's excited for the whole trip. He's going to take lots of pictures. It was great to get away and explore new places. Soon, the miscellaneous remaining tasks had all been wrapped up. Everyone piled into the RV. It was officially time for the trip to start. And it did. Cliff took the first shift driving. He cautiously navigated the massive car out of the narrow neighborhood streets. It was touch and go for the first part of the journey. Your moms and Kyra were all huddled at the front, trying to get a view of how much space they had on each side. There was a sense of relief when the first long leg of the trip was hit, and the RV would only need to go down one stretch of highway for miles. The mom group cleared out of the driver's area, leaving Cliff's dad to it, taking more comfortable seats around the main cabin. You felt like you could finally relax now too. Time slipped by as morning faded away. Before you realized it, the engine of the RV came to a stop, but only halted for a few moments as Cliff climbed out from the driver's seat and Mom took over. Ma was sitting shotgun, giving Mom a quick tutorial on the controls, as it was her first time driving anything this large. Cliff groaned as he headed towards the rest of you, stretching his arms above his head and loosening up his muscles. We're making good progress. Yeah, maybe you should take a nap in the back for a while. That was a long haul you just did. And I know you're on less sleep than usual. Cliff waved a hand, that trademark grin of his slipping into place.
Nah.
I don't need sleep. I've still got a few miles in the old tank. He flexed an arm, showing off his muscles to drive the point about how resilient he was home. And Kyra rolled her eyes in amusement. Dad, everybody has to sleep. Cove shook his head at the tough guy act. Cliff simply chuckled and ruffled his son's hair.
So?
Are you going to be driving again anytime soon, Mr. Holden? I want to know so I can prepare. Did anyone pack some rope? I might need it. There's no seatbelts up here. Elizabeth called down from where she was lounging in the loft above the driving compartment. She was laying on her back, her hair falling over the side and swinging around as the RV started up again and took off down the road. A bag of potato chips was balanced on Elizabeth's stomach, and she tossed a couple in her mouth right as Cliff held a hand to his chest, pretending to be offended by the remark. Kyra laughed lightheartedly.
Don't worry about that.
Lucky for all of us. We have enough adults to cover the shifts today. He won't be driving again until tomorrow. You stayed quiet. You shook your head at the ribbing. Phew, that's a relief. Just enough time to write up my last will and testament. We shouldn't gang up on the poor guy. It's not his driving I'm worried about. Out calling out his mom. Because she hasn't driven before. Like this big of a thingamabob. Take me out with the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care if I never get back. Let me root for the ball team. If they don't win, it's a shame. Wait, I'm gonna check something real quick. I hope I don't actually click anything. Okay, wait. Okay, so I saved it at the, I couldn't remember if I saved at the end of the thing here or at the beginning. It was at the end, so I don't think I have a at the beginning of step 1 saved, do I? Oh, I do. Look at me. I have 2 ends. Okay, cool. I just need to know how I save these things. I know, my save files are a mess. I'll fix it eventually. Yeah, let's see. Ty. Ty's probably gonna partake in joking around because Ty's a jokey person, and it's the mood of the room right now. But the question is he going to joke at Cliff's expense or at his mom's expense? Well, did I save? Did I say like I did save? I saved. I just don't remember what page I saved on. I just know. There it is. There it is. Okay. Sorry. Let's try this one. Let's not forget how many times Mom has put a dent in our car. It was only twice, and neither of those times were my fault, thank you very much. Mom then shouted back in her seat to join in the conversation, a playful smile tilting her lips. What I'm more worried about is this old monster getting us there and back before falling apart. It looks as though it was built in the early 90s. It must be older than some of the occupants. That's just the aesthetic of the decor. It's not that old, I think. Did you ask what year the model was before you rented it? Kyra wrinkled her nose and thought.
Hey!
Yes, I did. I just can't remember what the answer was. Cliff chuckled at her, while the rest of you let out a collective sigh. This is nice. Nice little bonding. The RV lurched as a little... Nope. I read those words in the wrong order again. Okay, I got this. The RV lurched a little as it picked up speed, and you held onto the ladder to the loft to keep your balance. You felt something graze the top of your head before a weight settled on your black hair. When you tilted your chin up carefully to look, you heard the rustling of the bag of chips and realized Elizabeth had rested the end of it on your head. She gestured to the opening, silently offering to share her snack. You took a handful, you refused the offer. Well, she's offering. He's gonna. Reaching up, you scooped up some chips, and after that, the weight of the bag left your scalp. You happily munched away as the conversation continued on, and you got closer and closer to your destination. The day flew by with a group of you chatting, playing games, and passing the time together, before finally arriving at the park and setting up for the night. Ma was closing the windows while everyone got ready for bed, saying goodnight to the others as she made her way to the back room. You had all had dinner together while still driving, and some hours after had arrived at your destination and found a spot to park in for the rest of your stay. Excuse me. Giving a look across the front of the RV, you noticed almost everywhere there was already dozing off where they... Oh my gosh, that's not what that says. Giving a look across the front of the RV, you noticed almost everyone there was already dozing off where they were, with Cove having completely fallen asleep, curled up in the passenger seat. He must have done so while Kyra was driving the last leg, and they had decided not to disturb him. Kyra herself was the only one up there who was still awake, flipping through a magazine next to a portable light from her spot on the couch. It seemed Mr. Holden needed to sleep despite his claims. You followed your moms into the back room and closed the door behind you before crawling onto the bed between them. It was a queen-size bed, so there was enough space for the three of you together without too much squishing.
Good night.
Get a good rest, Ty. We've got a big day ahead of us tomorrow.
That's fantastic.
I'm looking forward to the bushwalk in the morning. It's been a long time since I was out in nature like this. There will nope, that's not a word in there. I just be making up sentences. There'll be plenty for us to see. You stayed awake a little while longer while your moms whispered about the park and forests in general. With the sound of their voices in the background, eventually you nodded off to sleep. The next morning, you were up bright and early preparing for the day ahead. You had slept well. You had an okay sleep. You had slept terribly. Let's say you slept well. No reason not to say. You fell asleep before you knew it and had woken up rested. Ma whined a bit about the firmness of the mattress, but Mom had only encouraged her to enjoy the trip while she could. While looking for a spot to get ready, you had some trouble finding a space of your own as the others were doing the same thing. Cove was perched on top of the counter, brushing his hair and tucking his legs every time someone wanted to move past. The parents were checking, double checking, and triple checking that you had everything, to the point where you had stopped listening to them altogether. You knew you wouldn't be returning to the RV at all that day, but by the look of the backpacks that were packed up and ready to go, you doubted anything was missing from them. It didn't take much longer until you all exited the RV in a bustle and headed into the Redwood National Park. Cove had his head tilted towards the canopy of trees, his eyes wide as he took in the massive trunks on either side of you. You knew that the redwood trees here were considered the tallest trees on Earth, but you weren't prepared for exactly how huge they would be in person.
Come on.
Smile, you two! You spun just in time for Kyra to snap a picture of you and Cove together before she pointed her camera at Cliff, trying to get a shot despite his weak protests that she should just enjoy the moment. And didn't she say she was like a travel blog person? So like this is maybe she's a travel blog person because this is her enjoying the moment. No. Yeah, that's pictures, you know? You gotta take some pictures. I'm Team Kyra. Take some pictures on your trip. Your parents were walking behind the group a little, with Mom telling Ma some information she had read about the park in a brochure. Ma listened happily while looking around and taking in the sights, every now and then asking a question or making a joke about something Mom had said. You smiled at them, thinking your mom must have read a lot of pamphlets to know so much about the park. Maybe you should come and work here as a tour guide if you know so much about the place. Elizabeth teased, earning a squeeze on the nose from your mom. She seemed to be enjoying herself, but you thought that might just be because she was amused by everyone else's reactions. You were in awe of the redwood trees. You were fascinated by the sensations surrounding you. You were in a good mood. You weren't as impressed as the others. You were embarrassed that the adults were being so touristy. Oops, I keep accidentally right-clicking. In awe, fascinated, good mood. Awe, fascination, good mood. I should do one with my characters for my fantasy adventure series. Not because, not that this is a fantasy, but like, I don't know. I think it'd be fun. That's off topic. It's just because, you know, I think about what the other characters would do sometimes, and I was thinking about those characters, and I was like, well. And if I think about those characters, I think one of my characters, her name is Win. I think she'd be this one. but she's also very used to trees. So I know she likes being around trees. She's a were-squirrel. Okay, fascinated by the sensations surrounding you. You're in awe of the redwood trees. You're in a good mood. See, it's always the simple ones. It's always the simple ones. We'll say I really wanted to just like boom make a decision. I thought I was so ready. I was like, yeah, we're gonna make a decision. Okay, well, surrounding you on either side, the enormous trees shot up into the sky, the sunlight peeking through their canopy and speckling the path in front of you. The sheer size of the redwoods made you feel like a tiny ant bustling along through the forest. The adults had decided on some casual nature walks rather than any serious hikes, and you strolled along at your own pace, taking in the scenery. Elizabeth sped up a little, smirking at Cove as she fell into place between the two of you, and immediately you could tell by her expression she was going to say something taunting. I can't believe our families are actually on vacation together. She threw her arms out, speaking with a genuine sense of bewilderment. I would have joked about something like this happening, but now I'm not sure I want to give them any more ideas. Cove smiled at her, even if it was a little awkwardly, and continued walking along. Just watch. Next year they'll be talking about their next new amazing idea. She put on a fake voice deeper than her own. We should sell both our houses and move in together. I don't know how to do it. It's so sweet deeper, but we should just sell both our houses and move in together. Think of how much we'd save on the mortgage. It was clear that Elizabeth was being sarcastic. Cove simply shook his head, not really bothered by her. You suppose he was used to it by this point. But seriously, they really do act like we're a single family just because we live across the street from each other. Elizabeth gave you and Cove a look, her eyes glinting with mischief as she leered at you.
Yeah.
Maybe one day we will be related. Legally, anyway. She said it as though she was a gossipy old lady. But she almost immediately dropped the tone and nonchalantly said her real thoughts. At least, that's what Ma thinks. Cove, did I miss a line? I don't think I did, but yeah, okay. I just want to make sure. Because I forget sometimes that my laptop is touchscreen, and there was something on the screen and I touched it, so I was like, oh shoot, did I, okay, there we go. Cove still blushed, which made Elizabeth smile triumphantly, as though that was her whole purpose for teasing him. Then he mumbled quietly, refusing to make eye contact with either of you. I don't know why you think you're so funny when no one else does. You told her to cut it out already. Cove has a point. It wasn't a great comment. I'll marry you, Cove. You ignored Elizabeth. You were embarrassed. If it was Miles, it'd be this one. Miles gets embarrassed easily. If it was Paisley, it'd be one of these two. I'm assuming this happens regardless of where your standing is. I don't know for sure. I can't remember. Like I said, I have seen someone play it before. Do I remember anything? You have to forgive me. It was like over a year ago. Or was it earlier this year? I don't know time. Anyways, it was several months ago, but I know that she didn't do a romance route, so I don't remember if this one popped up. I think it did, so I'm assuming that this is either way. So in that case, I think Leilani might be this one. She also might be that one. Sabrina would probably be one of these two. Sabrina's kind of unbothered, but also like Sabrina, you know. You don't know. But anyways, what else? I'm tempted to click on this one. I was, trying to count out all my options, which, as you can see, everything gets covered. Everything has gotten covered. So it doesn't matter which one I click on now because everything has been covered. Because I think Ryan would say this. I can see Ty saying that. But in what tone would he say it? In what situation? But there's not too many. But he might say it like half joking, like, so it's like, but like also like, goodness. Here I am again, getting slightly stuck. I'm not even like stuck. I'm just like telling myself whether or not debating with myself on whether or not I actually want to click this one. But like, I think Ty is most likely to be one of these two, but Ty kind of like joins in on conversations. I do this to myself every time. I'm not teenaged anymore, but I still mess up and I'm insecure. I thought I would have learned by now, but I still sleep in and play music loud. Okay, I'm gonna see. This says it right there. Why didn't I notice that before? It says it right there. Okay, anyways, we'll save. What are those options there? What is this? This one's the same thing. We'll save here. Yeah. And then we're gonna flip our handy dandy coin, and the coin is going to tell me if I should click on that option. It said yes. Anyways, okay, forth. See, this is why I can't complete writing a romance. I can't do it. I embarrassed myself. Anyway, he looked at you in disbelief. He genuinely could not believe this is where the conversation had gone. Don't worry over it. You can take as long as you need to think on that. Cove frowned and reddened harder, but pretended to ignore what you were saying. Your sister noticed what was happening. Ooh, he isn't going to engage with this topic. He groaned at the continued teasing and increased the speed of his walk. The day continued on with plenty to see and experience. You passed a few different activities that you would have liked to try out if you had the time, such as kayaking and rock climbing, but Ma said that would have to wait for another trip. There was a little stream during the walk that you sat beside to set out a picnic for lunch, nibbling on a fruit selection, sandwiches, and chips. Various birds flew by overhead. You made a game out of guessing the species that were hanging out in the trees nearby. You even managed to get a couple of them right, including the kingfisher that grabbed half of Cliff's sandwich. You're glad you got to do this in the end. You were disappointed to only have one day in the park. You thought the long trip wasn't worth only one day here. You had more fun hanging out in the RV. You hadn't had a good time with this trip. I think we're gonna say disappointed to only have one day in the park. You know, you couldn't try out all those activities. There was so much here, and you felt like you'd need a whole week, maybe even more, to experience it all. You sighed quietly to yourself, wondering if you'd get the chance to come back here. Your group made it back to camp just as the sun was setting in the sky, and then the stars were appearing one by one. Everyone had enjoyed different parts of it most. Everyone had enjoyed different parts of it most. You traded stories of what you thought while you were eating dinner. Then afterwards, you pitched in to help clean up. You, along with Elizabeth and Cove, got to head back to the RV early and spend some time together while the parents stayed outside longer. It was nice to have the space to yourselves after the cramped journey there, and while Elizabeth had locked herself in the back room with her headphones, you and Cove were left in the main lounge area. You headed to the loft to relax on your own. You hung out with Cove. We might as well get comfortable. Who knows how long they'll be out for. You took a seat on the sofa while Cove sat down on the other end, tapping his fingers against his knees. Your cheeks warmed a little at that. Being close to him never failed to feel exciting. You'd seen Cove nearly every day for the past 5 years, but seeing him in a jacket was still somewhat unusual. In Southern California, he could get away with that. It was a simple difference from his normal style, yet you couldn't help noticing the way he looked right now. It looked great on him. In fact, Cove always looked nice. When Cove cleared his throat, your eyes snapped to his. He had an eyebrow raised and had clearly caught you staring at him.
What?
Is everything okay? You averted your gaze from him entirely. Yeah, don't worry about it. That looks nice on you. Yeah, everything is really good. You nodded while saying nothing. Okay. Sorry, was that annoying? Thinking noises. You know, sometimes you have thinking noises. Okay. Ty's gonna be one of these two. Ryan would definitely just Ryan is so direct. And yet some people still don't notice. Yeah, that's a different story. Anyway, don't worry about it. Everything is really good. So yeah, everything is really good. You smiled knowingly to yourself about why you felt that way, while Cove watched on in confusion. You decided to explain part of it. You know, I hardly ever see you wearing a jacket, especially in summer.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I like wearing as few layers as possible. It's easier that way. I'd rather be cold than extra hot. And it's kind of a pain to carry extra clothes around. My parents made me bring this jacket. I'm the same way. I don't mind either way. I love wearing layers. I love layers and accessories too. Yeah, I think that's think that's pretty accurate. I'm trying to think of like my designs and Pinterest boards. Always turn to Pinterest. But like Ty kind of does, well, accessories. This is the only one that mentions accessories. He isn't super accessorized yet, but he would like to. Don't mind me. I'm still here. I get distracted. I'm not distracted. I'm trying to pull up his Pinterest board one more time so that I can just like confirm to myself that I'm going to click this answer, even though I kind of probably don't even need to. But I think, because I'm debating between this one and I don't mind either way. But I think I should just do this one because it mentions accessories. And I think he's like not super layer person, but he does like layer. You know, like I think he does like tend to wear a jacket. And he likes accessories. Dang, I've just confused myself more. Well, we'll say this one. We'll just go with this one. Accessories. He likes to accessorize. I know that in my heart. My heart of hearts. The heart of the cards. That's probably why I have a closet almost filled to the brim at home. Cole smiled lightly at you and nodded. I've noticed. You perked up hearing that. He noticed you. But he noticed you too. He noticed you too. I can read. You changed the subject. You asked him what he liked to see others wear. You can't blame me. Let's see what you find it. Okay, we'll just say right here. You can't blame me. I have to hesitate. I have to hesitate. Did I read these? You changed the subject. You asked him what he liked. Yeah, I did read those. I don't know. My short-term memory is not the greatest sometimes. Okay, again, it comes to the question of would Ty do it? I guess that's what I should really be asking. Like, but he might because he likes clothes. And it's expanding the conversation on clothes. Yeah, okay. Well, okay. Hey, what kind of things do you think are nice to see on another person? Cove's eyes widened at the question, and his defensive reply seemed to slip out before he had the chance to have a proper think about it. Nothing. That was funny. You paid it no mind. Ty's gonna laugh at that. Yeah, Ty's gonna laugh at that. You laughed out loud, and Cove gave you a dry look.
Come on.
That's not what I meant. You composed yourself and sat up straighter, all traces of laughter disappearing from your face. Answer what you mean, then. Is there anything at all you think looks good when you see it on someone? Cove mumbled under his breath, and you couldn't quite catch the words. He was having a difficult time with the subject. It was a topic that made him uncomfortable, so you let it go. You had a little fun, and that was enough. You changed the subject. You're not very good at these conversations, are you? I swear I won't make fun of you. I just thought it'd be fun to talk about. I gotta think in the Thai mindset. He does tend to try to let things go if if he's aware that it's somewhat uncomfortable, but I'm trying to think. See, I think too hard. The coin said I can go with this one. I think I'm starting to think I'm using the coin as a crutch. No, that's not really it. Cove seemed pretty grumpy about your statement, but you weren't ready to give up so easily. Did I? Or maybe you should back down. It is Ty we're talking about. But... Please? Did I... Okay, we'll just carry on. I know, I started second guessing myself again. Should I have just gone with the other one? Okay, wait. I know, you're kind of supposed to stick with your choices and just carry on with those choices. You make choices, you stick with the choices. That's gonna make me feel a little better. Wait, I'm gonna I don't know. Okay, let's see. You didn't push me any further, so you didn't insist. And the conversations soon after that. Well, look. Hang on. Okay. I apologize. We'll just carry on with having promised not to make fun of him, because if I think about it, Ty, well, I don't know. We'll just carry on. I'll have a longer think on this later, and then if I change anything, I'll say so.
I don't know.
Okay, did I read that sentence? Cove sighed and looked down at his lap where he was fidgeting with his hands, still reluctant to give an answer.
I don't know.
You made an unimpressed sound over how this was going. Are you sure? Fine, I guess I kind of like ankle bracelets. Ankle bracelets? Yeah, everyone can wear a pretty bracelet. Wrist ones are cool too, but they're pretty normal. There's something fun or flirty about ankle bracelets. It's more special or something. I don't know how to explain it. Cove brushed his knuckles against his cheek awkwardly, seemingly unsure where to go from here. Thanks for answering. I like them too. Huh. Out of everything in the world, you picked that. So you think they're sexy? Ty's just gonna thank him because he feels like, it's just like it was a hard conversation for him. He said you're welcome, but I think I talked over it. So we'll just hear it again.
You're welcome.
There we go. When he said nothing else, you took a moment to gather your own thoughts. You had to get an anklet on ASAP. Maybe you'd wear your anklets more now. Maybe you wouldn't wear your anklets so often. You thought about buying an anklet of your own. You were happy to hear more about Cove, but it didn't really change anything. These options are funny. I think as Ty, it would probably be maybe this. I'm thinking about the other ones as like the other characters as well. But anyways, I was gonna go over it and then I hesitated. I don't know. I'm so hesitating. We'll go with this one because I think he would already have some. So it's just like, maybe like a consideration, a consideration thought, like a you have those thoughts. You had a couple different ones at home. With this new knowledge, you might slip them into your daily outfits in the future. Cove looked away again, feeling awkward about this. You gave him an understanding look, and usually he would start to smile like normal again, but not this time. His expression only stiffened more. You were surprised to see him like this. He always bounced back pretty quickly after being flustered. Cove? Still, he wouldn't look at you, and now even his breathing was growing tense. It began to click. He was trying to build himself up enough to say something hard for him. You waited for it silently, until finally he peeked your way through the corner of his eyes. You were fully attentive by this point for whatever he was going to mention next.
That's,
I wasn't expecting this. People having brown eyes, that's also something I like. Huh? For a moment you were stunned and at a complete loss for words. That was definitely not where you imagined this was going. Cove faced you head on, his expression full of desperate meaning. You got the distinct impression he hadn't chosen that just because he liked the color brown. He chose it entirely because it was your eye color. Was he trying to flirt with you? That was all you could think. Your legs felt like jelly, and you wondered if you might fall right off the couch. What do you like for another person? Muscles, pretty hair, glasses, blue eyes, everything about you. I get too shy too easily. People aren't gonna believe I've actually grown up playing dating sims. You don't have to read those out loud. Okay. I'm comparing Ty's previous or in-story relationship character. Who also wears glasses. That's the only that's the only thing on here they have in common appearance-wise. So that's what I will go with. Yeah. Which means the unfigured out person that I wanted to put in his also have to wear glasses just to keep it all together. I know they don't have to, but you know, I'm going to go with this one. Because again, like I said, that's the only thing they have in common, and then this one's just too much for me. If this was Ryan, then you might say this one. Or potentially this one. Ryan is Ryan. I know, I could have played Ryan. I didn't, because Ryan feels very stressful to play. Oh, I'll do this one. Cove looked away thoughtfully, but you couldn't quite tell what was going through his mind. I wanted to make sure I read that sentence right because I felt like I didn't, but I think it was just my short-term memory acting up again. Because I was like, did I even read all of the words in that, or did I just skip to the end? I'm shy. shoot. Okay. Did I read these? You'd look especially good in them. You smiled at him. Suddenly, he's already wearing glasses. I'm trying to figure out tie. I gotta, like, I'm trying to, I didn't even ask a question. I just flipped a coin. I didn't even ask the question yet. Okay, so I'm trying to think about Ty's interactions with his in-canon story love interest, and what he would say here, like, if they had this conversation, because, you know, they didn't have this conversation, but, you know, but he does like to, Ty kind of does like to jokingly make his feelings known, like, not like full on, but like, well, no, okay, what I mean by this, how do I word this? It's like, I'll say things and you can take it as a joke, and I won't correct you if you take it as a joke, even if I mean it. that kind of mindset. I think that's a decent way to explain it. So does that mean I go with this one? Okay, sure, we'll go with this one. There, we did it. I swear I play dating sims, guys. That's all I've played so far. Cove blushed a deeper shade of red, and his mouth fell open, acknowledging that you had specified him straight out. Now you were both flirting with each other. He placed his hands in his lap and looked down. It seemed he hadn't expected to get this far and didn't know where to go from there. With that, the topic abruptly dropped off. Cove officially had no more to say on it. And the parents all arrived soon after, each of them climbing into the RV and finding some place to sit down and rest their legs. Elizabeth, having heard the commotion, came out from the room for the first time since arriving and joined you all. You spent the evening oh my gosh, I don't know why I just stumbled on that word. You spent the evening chatting and playing a few games, enjoying the last evening of the trip together. Bedtime arrived within the blink of an eye. As the group hunkered down for the night, your mom did a final round Your mom did a final round to be sure nothing had been left behind. She explained that Cliff was going to start driving early in the morning. Like on the first day, but it would be letting everyone else in the group sleep. There wouldn't be a need for all of them to get up. Now was the time to check you hadn't left anything outside. You, as well as everyone else, were confident you had packed it up. You had it all packed up. Let me start over, because now I've interrupted the sentence too many times. You, as well as everyone else, were confident you had it all packed up inside the RV, which meant it was time to get some rest before the journey home tomorrow. Your moms and Elizabeth said goodnight, heading to the back room while you climbed up to the loft. Cove and his family got situated below in the previously set arrangement. You tried to get comfortable as a million thoughts were running through your mind. It was hard to believe that the trip was practically over, and before you knew it, you'd be back in your own bed at home. You enjoyed this mini adventure. You thought the trip had been okay. You felt the trip was a waste of time. You hadn't had a good time. You enjoyed this mini adventure. It was short, that was for sure. But you got to see and do so much during your time here. All in all, it was a nice break away from home. The minutes ticked by silently. It didn't take long for the soft snores of Cliff and Kyra to drift up to you. They were asleep now. You wondered if Cove was still awake and decided to poke your head out from the loft to find out. You blinked through the dark. Looking down the hall, you noticed Cove laying on his back, his eyes staring up at the ceiling. His seafoam hair was spread out on his sleeping bag. He must have felt you watching him because suddenly his eyes locked onto yours. It was difficult to see much in the dim light, but you could make out the crooked smile on his face well enough. You grinned back at him. You made a silly face. You waved at him. Ty's kind of goofy. Well, Ty will grin back. Cove shrugged in his bed while still smiling, or at least he thought he did. You then gestured for him to come over. You then went back to trying to sleep. You then decided to have fun quietly. Yeah, they're both up. Cove looked unsure about it, but you were happy to see him slowly start to sit up anyway. His sleeping bag rustled as he moved, though he tried to go slow and froze up like a deer in headlights every time he made a sound watching his parents for any sign of movement. Eventually he managed to maneuver his way. Nope, that's not what that says. Eventually he managed to maneuver around his sleeping dad and make it to the ladder, standing on the bottom rung where he looked up at you and whispered, "What?" "Hi." "Oh, it was nothing. Good night. How are you doing?" You invited him up to the loft. Can you do multiple things? Probably not. What's that one? Oh, okay, I remember what that one is. Oh, I'll save right here. Yeah, why not? Me in the words. We'll just, well. The temptation just be like, hi. I don't know if there'll be more after that. Ty's kind of goofy. See, look, I just want to see what happens. Cove shook his head in disbelief, but you could see the hint of a smile peeking out. Good night, Ty. Oh, and then he goes right back. Well, I know, I want I want to know. Should I just do the high? But it's an option. Okay, I know. I should be thinking about what Ty would do. But I think he would do both. I do think he would be like, first just be like, hi. And then afterwards laugh about it and be like, do you want to hang out a little bit since we both can't sleep? Okay, well, I'll just... Do you want to come up? His eyes widened just so. You could only tell because he had come to where you were. Cove glanced behind him quickly at his sleeping parents before turning back to you. Okay. You broke into a grin and scooched back as far as you could, making space for Cove to crawl in. He was very tall, so it wasn't a great fit for him, but he managed to squeeze himself in. Even if you weren't exactly tall, the loft was still tight squeezed with the two of you in there together. We got a picture! You laid down next to each other. You laid down next to each other on your sides, face to face. He got under the blanket a bit. One of his arms was nestled under his head for comfort. The other had nowhere to go and was rested alongside his chest on the floor of the loft. Cove spoke to you softly. So, what am I doing here? I don't know. I thought we could hang out. You can sleep here instead of the floor. Yeah, I thought they could hang out because they're both up. Yeah. Cove's eyebrows dipped. He probably thought you had something more important than that going on. I'm not sure about this. Cove swallowed loudly, and you noticed he wouldn't look you in the eyes anymore. You were feeling the nervousness too. You felt comfortable being so close to him. His reaction made you happy. I mean, Ty probably would think his reaction was a little bit funny. I'm debating between these two because I do think Ty would think it's a little funny, but also I think I just hesitate to choose those kind of options. Oh my gosh, I'm a mess. Why can't I play a game? Okay. I'm thinking Miles would be this one. I can also see Ryan being either of these two. The coin tells twice, and I can't recall if my question was first choice, second choice, or if my question was, I think, no, okay, I remember now. First one, I didn't ask a question. I wasn't sure what my question was. So the second one was, does the okay. I'm sorry that I rely on coins and struggle to play simple games with simple options. I'm shy. I don't know why this kind of option makes me shy. It was nice to know that this didn't seem like nothing to him. You wanted him to take you seriously. Yes, definitely a Ryan choice. You thought back to earlier in the evening when you and Phil had been talking alone on the sofa. He had definitely been flirting then, and now you were here. You laid there silently. You tried to ease things with conversation. You nudged closer to him. You touched his arm Nope, you touch his free arm lightly. I can read. Ty tries to ease things to conversation. Yeah. So, it's been a really nice night, huh? Oh yeah, I guess it has. Don't you think the loft is more comfortable than it looks?
It's nice.
It's not bad. Would be nice to have more room. Cole smiled at you through the dim light, and you knew he was only joking. The two of you continued to whisper for a while, becoming more relaxed. You went to sleep how you were. You snuggled against him. You leaned in to kiss him. Okay, Ty is not that bold. Ryan, yes. Ty, no. I guess it was okay. Yeah, I think I know. Sorry, Ty's I think Ty's this one. I think sorry. Ryan is this one. I was trying to think about Miles and then I started thinking about Paisley. If she was in this situation, I think she'd be this one. Miles is a little harder because I think he'd be one of these two, but also I'm not sure how he would get here. Anyway, we're gonna go this one because that's Ty. You didn't do anything, simply letting out a long breath and getting ready to settle in for the night right next to him. You let your eye. I thought I messed up, but then my pause is what messed up. You let your eyes close, and then you could feel Cove rest his head against you in the dark. After that, you were soon asleep. When you woke up the next morning, it was to the rumble of the RV as it traveled the long journey home. You noticed quickly that you weren't as warm as you had been during the night. When you checked next to you, Cove was gone. Blinking sleepily, you peeked over the edge of the loft to find out where he'd gone. Maybe he had snuck back to a spot on the floor during the night. However, you soon noticed him sitting on the couch talking quietly with his mom, his head hung in embarrassment. Your movement gave you away, and Kyra suddenly looked up and caught your eye. She smiled amusedly at you, and it was obvious what happened. Cove hadn't gotten away with it. They found him there in the loft, and then you woke up while he was trying to explain. You knew it was going to be a long, long time before you lived this one down, if you ever did. Soon your moms and Elizabeth emerged from their room, dressed and ready for the day of travel. You spent most of the day hanging out together in the RV, savoring the last few hours of vacation. Kyra suggested a few different travel games she used to play with Cove when he was younger, and you all had a great time competing against each other. A little later in the day, you tried to talk to Cove about what happened in the loft, but he simply apologized and changed the subject. Right click, I'm sorry. It was a bit too much for him to try speaking on, especially right now. You understood. When the RV finally pulled onto your street, when the RV finally pulled onto your street, it was well into the night, and you were looking forward to crawling into your own bed after the last few days went away. Everyone else must have been feeling the same because it was mutually agreed that unpacking and cleaning the RV would wait until morning. Once home, you went straight up to your room and dropped onto your bed, shoes and all. It really does show how tired he is because Ty normally would never. You were happy to be in your own bed. It felt weird to be alone. It felt good to be alone. You wished you were still on the trip. You missed being near Cove. Miles is this one. I'm pretty sure. Because Miles needs breaks. Now Miles needs Miles break people. So sentence well. We'll just say this one. You stretched out with a smile on your face, enjoying having the space all to yourself. With those last few thoughts, it's like Ty didn't not enjoy the rest of the trip. I just think that he likes his bed. If that makes sense. I think that was something that made a lot of sense. I don't know why I said that. With those last few thoughts drifting through your mind, it wasn't long before you dozed off to sleep. Tomorrow, life would go on like normal. Okay, let's hit that save button. Let's hit that save. We will save right here. And as previously checked, we will save right here. So then we have the end of step 1. And we have the end of step 2 right beside it. Right beside it. I can words. And then my question is, do I still have a save for... I did, right? I found it, right? Okay, so I have the save for the beginning of... Oh, dang. I'm going to run out of save spots. I mean, I've used up a lot of save spots. Okay, well, it's okay. I'll probably just save over somewhere and we'll just have to carry on with something. Okay. All right, and we still have time. It's not noon yet. So, then we'll go on. The summer has ended, but, yeah, that means, wait. I just saved this, okay. Gallery. I know, I want to catch them all. So we got all the pictures for step 1. We didn't get all the pictures for step 1. We got all the pictures for step 2 so far because I'm thinking these two because it's after the DLC, right? So it must be, what was I saying? It must be in the end, like not at the beginning of step 3, like how this picture was the beginning of step 2, but like either in the end of it, right? Because it's after the DLC, and it would be after the DLC, the end of summer. Okay. Oh wait, let me just hit continue. That'll take me right back where I was, right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't have any. I am disappointed that I don't have any of the DLCs. One day I'll buy these DLCs. One day for sure. Okay. And then summer ended. Move to the next step. Are you sure? Yes. Looks like my summer vacation is over. There was no denying it. I still didn't use that as I side route. I still didn't use that as a little notice, which I should have, but I didn't. I'll do it next time, for sure. There was no denying it. Today was the very last day of summer. Tomorrow you were heading to class. You were excited to go back. Anxiety gnawed at your stomach. It was a bummer. Your feelings were muddled. This is Leilani. Leilani likes the routine, I think. And also she's good at school and she likes studying, I think. And this is more so Miles. Miles doesn't have a good time at school with people. Paisley's probably just this one. Or yeah, because okay, we'll just go with this one. Because school makes things harder. Okay, sorry, I'm going back to Paisley for a second. Because in my story, the reason she is less of friends with some, well, not really friends at the start of the story with certain characters, is because they were friends, but school kind of, they had different schedules in school and different ways to get to school, so they saw each other less. You know, different schools, different lunches, or not different schools, different schedules, different lunch schedules. Yeah, school can be a bummer because you don't get to hang out with the people you want to hang out with because of scheduling. Yeah, and that's that. Anyways, we're gonna go with this one because I think for Ty, I think he does have friends that he probably only sees at school. So he's like, yeah, that's cool, but also the freedom of just being able to do whatever you want all day, gone. So feelings are muddled. Exactly. There were aspects of going to school that you missed, and others, there were aspects of school that, oh my gosh. I read it so well the first time. There were aspects of going to school that you missed, and others you would happily live without. If only you could pick a mix between bits of the school of this. If only you could pick and mix between bits of the summer and school. You got dressed, not oh my gosh. You got dressed, not oh my gosh. I don't know this word. What did it say? In visa? Gee. I'm looking this word up. I googled it, but it says the definition is from Oxford Languages. It says contemplate or conceive of as a possibility or desirable future. Form a mental picture of something not yet existing or known.
Envisage.
Envisage?
Envisage.
Envisage. That's what Google says it's pronounced like. You got dressed, not envisaging. I still couldn't read it. The day before you, but contemplating what lie ahead of you tomorrow. Okay, so not thinking about today, but instead thinking about tomorrow. That's what this sentence is saying. Life was going to be different, but you had come to think of the summer vacation as the norm. But school sucked up the majority of the year, whereas the summer vacation was just a respite in the middle. So, rather than it being different, it was kind of a return to the normal. What did your normal life really mean? You considered how fondly your moms talked about their summer vacations as kids. You dimly recognized that 1 year of the pattern of school. You dimly recognized that 1 year the pattern of school and summer itself would be over for good. It was hard to imagine. You'd gotten distracted, one arm still out of a sleeve. You pulled it through and put your mind back to the present. This season had brought about plenty of changes of its own, like Kyra's visit, though that too was coming to an end today. You were happy you'd finally gotten the chance to know her. You had become extremely fond of her. You didn't really like her. Your mind wasn't made up on how you felt about her. You didn't care one way or the other. I think Ty's happy to meet his friend's mom. Yeah. That's what option was. You're happy to finally got the chance to know her. Yeah. She was interesting to be around. You liked how easy it was to talk to her. You finished dressing, which was good. Cove would be there any moment. You'd agreed to see his mom off together. Officially, the plan was that he would come over to bring you around his house when she was ready to set off. But you both knew that you'd be hanging out for at least a little while beforehand. Kyra's visit had troubled Cove when it first happened. It had been a sudden change, thanks to Mr. Holden's infamous tendency to surprise people. But once he was able to adjust, he'd been in pretty good spirits with her around. It was a relief for everyone. You turned to your desk, where the box containing your accessories resided. A thought struck you like a bolt. Your eyes bored into the box. Should you wear an anklet for, for Co's visit today? You had some nice ones that you hadn't used in a while. You put one anklet bracelet on. You decided to wear several anklets. You didn't wear one. Ty is a subtle person. I think it is like Ty. I think he's going to put one on, and he's not going to say anything if no one says anything. You know? You know, I think Ty is kind of intentional, but also quiet. So he's not going to put on the several because the several's more obvious. And he doesn't want to make it super obvious. And he's just going to put one on and, again, not say a thing about it. See, you know, I think it's just the way that I empathize with people, obviously. No, not obviously, but like, I think that's why I get so shy at times of things. Because when it's just me, you know, it's nothing. But I think I feel like subconsciously I start to sometimes feel like as if I was in the person's spot. You know, it's like there was a video I saw that was talking about the different types of empathy. And one of them is like feeling as if you're that person, you know, like feeling what they're feeling. Or like you can likely understand them to be feeling. Like, you know, there's just the understanding what they're feeling, but then there's like the secondhand feeling of it. And I think that's me. Like literally one time I was reading a story. And then there was like a sort of confession scene, and I got like embarrassed, like the other character, like not even the perspective character, but like the other character. And I was like, oh my gosh. I don't know. But also sometimes when I watch shows I get secondhand embarrassment. Like, have you seen like Watamote? I think that's how it's pronounced. Or Playful Kiss. You get embarrassed for them because of the things they do, and then like people see things they do or have to interact with them, you're like, oh my gosh. Anyways, all this to say, I think I'm just a very empathetic person. Okay. I'll carry on. Your heart pounded as you slipped the hoop through the clasp and fastened it in place. Would Cove spot it? Your face grew hot as you imagined how you might react. The next thought that crossed your mind was, it would only be polite to get the door for Cove. You went downstairs to wait. You couldn't wait to see Cove, so you went downstairs to meet him when he arrived. Cove knew your house well enough. You could lounge in your room to wait for him. I think Ty is this one because I think Ty is somewhat polite. Like, he's like certain structures and things. I think that's the reason he would. I think he would be like, yeah, sure, but also I should be a good host. Yeah, I was trying to think about my other characters for a second, but I think Leilani, one hand she could be this one, but she might be this one, which is really funny because of the kind of person she is. I think everyone would expect her to be this one, but I think Leilani's this one. Miles is between these two, but like he'd probably say it was this one, it would probably be that one because that's the kind of person Miles is. Anyway, we're gonna carry forth. You strolled down the stairs. Someone else might have been able to answer it, but he was your guest. It was only a few minutes later when the doorbell rang. As you'd chosen to stand beside it to wait for Cove, there was no delay in pulling it open. Cove was there just as you expected. Seeing you, he flashed you a bright grin.
Hey.
Hi, Cove, come on in. Once he stepped inside, you beckoned for him to follow you upstairs. Back in your room, you sat down on your bed and waited for Cove to settle in, as you knew he would. With other guests, you might have offered them a seat, but you and Cove were long past those tentative stages of friendship. Your room was as familiar to him as his own. You watched as Cove sat down in your desk chair. See, they're the same, sitting in desk chairs, because that's where Ty sat in Cove's room. Anyways, carrying on. You watched as Cove sat down in your desk chair, his preferred spot. He rolled it closer to the bed to make it easier to chat, tweaking the angle so that he was full. He rolled it closer to the bed to make it easier to chat, tweaking the angle so he was facing you fully. Once happy with the position, he leaned in towards you, hands held in his lap. His actions weren't the ones of someone who planned on moving from his spot anytime soon, even though you had an appointment to keep together that day. When is your mom leaving?
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. Wait. The way that, I still want it to be louder. I think my volume's all kind of low, isn't it? It is. Can you even hear it? I turned it up just now. Is that better? Do you want to hear him say, don't worry about it again?
Don't worry about it.
Sorry if my audio was quiet before. I forget that to check my own audio. I think I usually even have it higher than what it currently is. So hopefully the sound wasn't too bad. I was earlier talking about audio being more important than the video and I didn't even check. Sorry about that. Turn it up a little bit more. There. We've got some time. She's still got a shower and stuff before she goes. She didn't want me to just keep hanging around while she was doing that. I think I double clicked, but okay, I didn't. He lifted his head, gaze drifting out towards the window, and chuckled. I can't believe she's already leaving. Just when I'm getting used to her being there every day. He leaned back in the chair, a wry smile tickling his cheeks. Yeah. You nodded. She'll be back. Time's going by so fast. Yeah, she'll be back. Yeah. She said she'll be back. Well, I think I'll leave it. He shook his head as if shaking off the topic, like a dog whipping off water following a dip in the sea. Cove looked back at you, lips parted as if he was about to speak, but instead his eyes widened and his mouth closed in a tiny frown. Something has caught his attention. Something wrapped around the end of your leg. Something wrapped around where the end of your leg met your foot. He cast his eyes back to your face, then down to your ankle, and back to your face. He repeated the process twice more, as if struggling to hold the two items in tandem. Maybe he was weighing up whether this could be a coincidence or not. Or maybe he was just too shy to verbalize his thoughts. Or was still trying to find the words, and this was the most he could manage. The attention made you feel bashful, amused, thrilled, regretful, pleased. Yeah, a little bit of both for time. Well, Ty can feel shy. He just doesn't show it. Where are my saves? Where are we? We are here. We don't need this one. Do we? No, we don't need that save. Bashful, amused, regretful. Bashful, amused. Okay, let's see. Because it's both, right, in my head for Ty, because I think that Ty is like, it's a little awkward now, but he also thinks the reaction is funny because he's Ty. So like the reaction part is a little bit funny, but the attention is a little like, I guess it's the attention is what it says. So because also Ty didn't think it'd be like full on reacted to. He probably was like, yeah, just like, you know, it'll be there and I won't bring attention to it, it'll just be there. And now attention's being brought to it. I don't think it'll change, right, much of the, because this is the inner thoughts, right? The inner thoughts. So we'll try this one. You almost wanted to tuck your feet away and out of Cove's intent focus, but doing so would make your would muddle your message further. On his next glance back to your face, Cove saw your expression had shifted. You watched as his bewilderment eroded into mortification as he realized that he had been caught staring. He quickly spun in the chair to face the wall instead, allowing you to glimpse the flush that had spread all the way to his ears. He twisted in his seat, wringing his hands and determinedly avoiding looking in your direction again. It seemed that he decided against saying anything at all. I know, I see sorry and I'm always like, Ty does default to say, Ty is so layered. Isn't he so funny? There's so many details about Ty. He's such a person. Complexities and all that. Okay, doesn't look good. You stayed quiet yourself. Sorry. What's the problem, Cove? So I think Ty's one of these two. I should have done like a count on how many times I've chosen sorry options. So that is like this many times. Does he say sorry every single time it appears? I don't know. But he does tend to say sorry. But is he going to stay quiet or is he going to say sorry here? He might say sorry because he might feel like he's made things awkward. Because you got to remember, things about Ty is that he does apologize a lot. Both he uses sorry genuinely and he uses sorry sarcastically. This is his friend, he's going to be using it genuinely in this situation. But the other thing is Ty also feels guilty about things pretty easily, and he internalizes that feeling of guilt, and so he's probably like, oh, I made things awkward, I shouldn't have done it. Not full on, I should have, like, you know, like yeah, I think he's gonna say sorry. Cove mumbled something unintelligible as he slumped over with how he was lower. With how he was hunched over, the quiet words had no chance of reaching you. You weren't going to get anything out of him in this state. You waited for him to come around before speaking again. Finally, he piped up very softly.
That's,
Did you do it because of what I said before? I mean, you know, the last few words were whispered as though they were a precious secret. The ankle bracelet? Yes. No. Maybe. I don't know what you're talking about. You shrugged. Okay. I think Ty is kind of a more maybe person. But it's not he is being directly asked a question, so he should probably be a little direct, but I think he's kind of a maybe type person, you know? Like I said, he's not yeah, Why do I need all these saves? In all honesty, I don't. Because am I really gonna go back like that? Who knows? Yeah. He shrugged. He probably does shrug while he answers, but we'll say maybe. We'll say maybe. We'll say maybe. His eyes squeezed shut. He had no idea if the answer made him feel better or more nervous. He eventually looked down at his lap, where his fingers were flexing and curling in an awkward dance of nerves. His chest rose as he breathed deep. Well, it looks good on you. Your heart skittered in your chest like a stone skipping across water. One big leap from the unexpected compliment, followed by a series of shorter ones as you absorbed the words. You beamed at him. He was looking at you again at last and returned the smile shyly. This really couldn't have worked out better, you thought. And there was nothing else he could add after that. The conversation lapsed into another comfortable lull. I'm sorry, I paused partially because I was trying to make sure I read this right, but also because lull, it sounds like lull. But anyways, lull, every time I see that word, I can't help but think of a lull in the sea, which is an anime. Have you seen it? It's funny because like it got a little rough watching it for us. We were like, oh my gosh, I don't know. Then we had to just sit down and just binge the rest of it because we were watching it in a group with other shows. We were doing it in a rotation, but then we were like, oh my gosh, we just got to buckle down and finish this one because we have to see how it's gonna end because oh my gosh. Then he was all right. I liked Alone in the Sea. Right, let me reread this. The conversation lapsed into another comfortable lull. Cove swung his feet underneath the seat of the chair, eyes resting on you. Having him over here was so nice. No matter how you spent the time, you always felt better for being in his company. You couldn't help but adore him, both as friends and in a way that plucked at your heart, a vague yearning for more. Maybe it was because summer was almost over that your feelings are rushing in on you now, like high tide at the end of a long day. Summer was such a meaningful time for the two of you. Not only because it was when you first met, but because it was a season that you could spend almost entirely as you pleased, and you both chose to spend it together. You wanted to let Cove know how much you liked him. You didn't know completely what you felt. You were too scared to let him know. You weren't ready to admit it to Cove now. Yeah, okay, so that's the thing. I don't know how much of an actual, I'm not gonna say instigator. Like, I don't know that Ty is likely to say, I know all this has happened, and then he still might not say anything. Because I don't know, like, I just it's like it comes down to Ty, right? Like, what would Ty do in this situation? And like, while it seems simple, I don't know why I don't think it's that simple for Ty. Like, this is the hard part about my own story too, right? Is that I don't know how they're getting together exactly. But it's a little more complicated in my actual story, because there's more things involved. But so it then comes down, like, if that wasn't the case, the little complication that is there, if that was just plucked out, would he say something? I don't know. I don't know that he would. Why is Ty like this? Ty's a coward. No, I'm also a coward though. I think, like, as I play this, I'm like, wow, Ty, you're kind of a loser, aka like me. No, but it's not everything. It's not everything. Ty and me are different, but also there's some things that I'm like, dang. It's like, you know, all my characters have some similarities with me, because it's like that thing, you know, that thing that's like, oh, that thing that see, cause like, I was skimming a scene I wrote between them real quick, because between the Ty and his love interest in my story, that the scene doesn't actually even go in the story. It's just a scene I wrote that was kind of it's kind of a confession scene for them, but I don't know that they actually they're so beat around the bushy. They're so beat around the bushy. Okay, I know. I got stuck on this option. This is like it's like one of those things, right? That you're like, I mean, that's the obvious thing to do right now, right? But then it's like, but I don't think he would. And I feel a little bad about it, but also I'm like, well, dang, I guess that's just who he is, because I can't think of, it's hard to explain. It's hard to explain. Because also, he no longer has the guilt of the not having told him that one secret, because that was also something that would have like stopped him. But I still don't feel like he would. Maybe it's his age. Maybe he's just not mature enough yet. I don't know what I'm saying. I just don't know. I just don't think he's going to do it. And that's why I'm stuck here. Because it's like all of this and you don't do it. But I think it's not that I think. Okay, because then it has to come down to this, right? Like, is he just not ready to admit it, or is he scared? And like, because I don't know. I think it's pretty clear at this point. Like, I think if this was like earlier on, you know, like around the time of growing, like maybe it'd be this one, but we went through like everything. Ty might just be a coward. In the scene that I just skimmed on my the if Ty and the character calls Ty a phony and not as collected as Ty likes to act like he is. Yeah, they were playing around, but like also it was meant because yeah, that's kind of true. I think that's kind of the thing about Ty, right? I think he doesn't like taking the first official, like he'll plant the little seeds, but he doesn't want it to be as obvious as it can be because he doesn't want to be the wrong one. It's kind of like, I know I'm just rambling now, but it's kind of like in this show that I'm watching, High by My Luck. It's a Thai drama. It's a Thai short drama. It's by GMM in their series Mutilove. But the main character, his big flaw is his lack of confidence. Where like in this the character is like really good at math and like knows all the answers and figures things out usually before everyone else too. But then when it's like who has the answer, he'll sit there. He won't say it. And then when someone else is like, "Oh, I have the answer. It's this." It'll be the right answer. He would have had the right answer. But he doesn't take that first step. Even when they were doing like this group activity where it was like you were on a team and like, you know, your team has to agree on the answer. He wouldn't say his answer until someone else said their answer. So in other words, yes, I think Ty's a coward and has a lack of confidence for some reason. Even though he'll joke about being the most confident person you know. He'll act like that. He'll be like, "Oh yeah, I'm so great. I'm amazing." But then he actually like doesn't think that. Okay, I know. I spent like 10 minutes cycling through this option when like all signs point to it should be this, and yet I can't, as Ty in good conscience, do that for whatever reason. If this was Ryan, boom, it wouldn't even be a thought. Wouldn't even read all the rest of the answers. Just click. But this is Ty, and even though this all just happened, I think it's still more fear than being ready, because I think for Ty, he also worries about comfort levels, and like it's probably like a silly thing, but I think he would be like, well, that might be like enough for right now. I don't want it to get awkward again. You know? Yeah. So even though all this just happened, I think Ty's a coward. It's okay, I can say that. He's my character. I can say it. Yeah, I know it feels awkward to do, but like I'm like, I think that really is the case. Oh, I heard a sound. I thought I heard something, but I don't know what I heard. Okay. Sorry, I really, there was a sound. Usually the sounds mean like a chat came in or something, but like there's nothing there and there's nothing in the activity, so it really confused me. Okay, well anyways, Ty's a little coward. Exactly. Where you were now felt safe. It was good. You couldn't handle the possibility of messing it up. Exactly. See, like I said, the game puts it in way better words than I can. I ramble, and the game sums it up in one sentence. Kudos to this game. The two of you had tried to find something to say now. Luckily, it didn't end up being that hard. This was a really nice summer. Totally. It was alright. I'm glad we got to spend so much time together. I've had better. I'm looking forward to the next. You nodded your head in agreement. I'm looking forward to the next. Cove, still nestled cozily in your chair, smiled at your response. How are your fish doing? Really good. Things in the tank are stable, and everyone looks healthy. Really good. Things in the tank are stable, and everybody looks healthy. That was nice to hear. You'd learned from Cove how hard it was to maintain an aquarium. Shadow has been busy. Keeps darting between the plants and out again when I walk by, like a game of peekaboo. See, named so well. Shadow with his blipping in and out. Or hide and seek. Yeah. Cove idly glanced out the window. He gave a resigned sigh. It's gonna be harder to surf, you know. With school, it's getting colder out. I might store my board away. I don't know how I'm gonna go on without surfing. I like surfing, but I wish it liked me. I'm over surfing now. Surfing's cool when we can. Sorry, Cove. Yeah, I still don't think Ty. I think Ty likes surfing. I don't think he's like the best at surfing. So it leads me to want to say this one, but I think these ones are also good options because, of course, this one has a sorry in it. But like these ones seem more. Well, this one seems more personal. Well, like if you, I don't know how to explain it. I'm not good at explaining. Okay. Well, anyways, sorry, school when we can. Sorry, Cove. I don't know if I've chosen every sorry option or not. If I have, I'm gonna feel bad that I didn't choose sorry this time. But if I haven't, then it's totally fine to click this one. Okay, let me think. We'll say the. I know, right? What is she saving for? Why is she hesitating? She just decided which one to choose, and now she's going back and forth between them again. What is her deal? It's too bad we can't make the most of the waves, but there's other fun stuff to do. He gave a light smile, coupled with a shrug as a response. Ty, Cove! The sudden call from downstairs caught you both unaware. You'd nearly forgotten the world outside your room. From the guilty look on his face, Cove had done the same. Just had a call. Cove's mom is ready to go. If you're quick, she might keep the mandated motherly smothering to a minimum. You doubted that, but it was nice that Mom and Miss Priest had their strange sense of humor in common. Your eyes met Cove's. Wordlessly, you headed downstairs together. Each step on the way there was painfully slow, like he was trying to delay the inevitable. His whole body tense leaving the house, and Cove froze all together before you both could cross the street.
Oh.
The doors opened. Dad must be taking her stuff out. He swallowed hard. She's really gonna leave. You smiled at him reassuringly. You gave his back a pat. You rested your hand on his arm. This isn't the last time you'll ever see her. I guess this one. I know, they're all reassuring, in different ways, so it makes it harder to choose. But I think this one, because I was thinking that he might hold on to him, like in a. Oh, I might pat him on. I could pat him on the back. Rested your hand on his arm. Pat him on the back. See, it's always the simple ones. I say like I didn't ramble over a big decision changer just 5 minutes ago. Okay, pat on the back, hand on his arm, smile reassuringly. We'll try this. We'll try this one. You felt a small shiver ripple through his body as the warmth from your hand sank in. Cove looked at you like he was hoping you had a solution for how he was feeling, and all you could do was give his arm a squeeze for support. At that, some of the conflict warring on his face eased a bit. Together you went across the street and inside his house, finding his parents in the living room, surrounded by his mom's packed things. Hey kids. Good timing, I just called the taxi.
Hi.
And hi Tyrone, I'm so glad I get to see you today. It was fabulous getting to know you this summer. I finally got to put a face to the name I've heard so many times. She winked and Cove pouted on cue over the teasing. I'm really happy I got to meet you two. I hope you had a good time visiting. Bye. He didn't say anything in response. Ty's gonna say that he hopes. Nope, that he's happy. I can read. Ty's gonna say that he's happy he got to meet her too. Because that's what he was thinking earlier. He's like, I'm happy I got to meet her. There's a chance to say that to her face. Oh yeah, I'm happy I got to meet you. Yeah. Hopefully it won't be too long before we see each other again. Nodding, Kyra turned her attention back to her boys. She patted Cliff on the arm with a warm smile, and then she enveloped Cove in a crushing hug. Initially, Cove squirmed to break free from her grip, but his mom was unfazed and kept him locked in place. Heartbeats later, he gave in and hugged her back tightly.
I'm so glad.
And I'm so happy this trip was a success. Cliff looked like he was bursting with pride. Well, not a 100% success, but still a passing grade, I think. Thinking back on everything that happened this summer, he started to look sheepish. Cliff scratched the side of his head and an awkward chuckle escaped Cove. There were ways it could have gone smoother. I'm still keeping that in mind for the future.
All right.
Good for you, Cliff. And I'll be trying harder to stay more in the loop. You watched as Cove smiled softly at both his parents, and you felt relieved seeing how much the whole family had come together since you first met them. Despite any underlying troubles, love was still there. After that, it wasn't long before the taxi arrived, rolling up in front of the house and in clear view of the open door. Kyra stood up, smiling sadly.
Well,
That's my ride. Yeah. The matching reply got a chuckle out of Kyra as you all filed out of the house. Father and son went with Kyra's bags in hand. Once outside, you spotted your family waiting by the street, and to your surprise, Garrick was also with them. He stood uncomfortably, and he waved as soon as you noticed him.
What's up?
Hey, Ty. Hi, Cove. When'd you get here? My dad dropped me off just a little bit ago. Thought I could visit one more time before school started.
Sorry.
You picked a busy time. Sorry. Derek couldn't even look at Cove. He nervously kept rolling a pebble with the bottom of his shoe.
Sorry.
I wasn't even thinking that your mom would be leaving today. I'm sorry, dude. Yeah, because I don't have any of the DLCs, we didn't get to see Derek that much this summer. I'm sorry, Derek. One day. What? You're not interrupting anything. You're always welcome here. Did I read that sentence? Oops. Did I read that sentence? Yeah, okay. It would have been sad if I didn't get to say goodbye before leaving. Derek came to hang out often, so it was inevitable that the two had met at some point this season. I think so too. It was apparent Derek would have preferred to have gotten there at a more opportune moment. He never liked seeming impolite, but their reassuring words soothed his worries. The tension he was holding in his body lessened, and he looked like he was feeling much more like himself. Bye, Derek. It was fun getting to know you. Bye, ma'am. Is there anything I can do to help?
Nah.
Don't worry yourself over that. We're just about set. In that short amount of time, Cliff had gathered and packed the bags into the trunk. Kyra took one last look at everyone and sighed. All right, I don't want to keep the driver waiting. It's time to head out. The little crowd that had formed around started their chorus of farewells and well wishes traveling, but Kyra still made no move to get into the taxi. She placed her attention on Cove. I'll call when I get to the airport, and when I make it to Nevada. Also, you better call the moment you walk in the door at home. Otherwise, we'll be wondering all night if you got into trouble on the way there.
Can do.
I can do that. And could you call tomorrow, too? So I can tell you how school went? Of course, I want to hear all about it. Kyra put a hand on Cove's head and affectionately ruffled his hair one last time. She then let go, only to move on to squeezing his cheeks in her hands instead. Mom!
Cove.
I love you so much, baby. She was chuckling by the time she freed him and rounded things off with a small tap to the tip of his nose. Cove rubbed at his face with a grin. Finally, she walked to the car while waving and took her seat in the taxi. Cliff hooked an arm around Cove's shoulder and kept him close as it began to pull away. For a moment, Cove looked up at his dad, then wrapped his arm across his back.
Bye.
Bye, Mom. Bye, travel safe. Kyra rolled down the window and stuck her head out of it. She waved again while blowing kisses at Cove and Cliff. See you again. Before she was out of sight, you decided to call out with your family and hers, wave goodbye, watch quietly. Yeah, why not? As you added your voice to the others, you watched Kyra's smile grow larger. The cab turned down another road and completely disappeared from view. Cove let go of his dad and took a few steps out into the empty street, still looking in the direction his mom went. He smiled quietly, deep in thought. You got the impression Cove was feeling better than he was earlier. And he was finally content with the way things were. You jumped a bit when your mom put a hand on your shoulder, pulling you away from your thoughts. She smiled when you looked at her. This was a great vacation, huh? Yeah, I don't think so. You nodded in agreement. You shrugged. I don't know. Summer isn't over until the second I fall asleep. I'm like, don't say vacation's over yet. Sure, let's try this one. No naps for you then. Can't risk you accidentally ending summer a few hours too early for the rest of us. Chuckling, you shook your head, amused. Cove walked back over to the group, still genuinely happy. Derek grinned at him welcomingly, and everyone else there smiled at him, even Elizabeth.
Well?
Ma clapped her hands, bringing everyone's attention back to the present. It's almost lunchtime. I think I'll put something special together. Her eyes sparkled with a plan, and Mom smiled. I bet you could use some help with that. That would be absolutely wonderful. Derek glanced between the two, his eyebrows furrowed. Is there something I could do? Your moms exchanged a fond expression. Ma shook her head.
How sweet.
That's very sweet, Derek, but it's all right. It's not your job. Technically, your dad left you under Cliff's watch. You're meant to be taken care of by him, not doing chores for the neighbors. Mom laughed a little at her own joke. You watched Derek look away, discouraged.
It's okay.
I don't mind. He was a little bashful about it. I can read. You wondered if Mom's joke had just reminded him that he wasn't initially meant to be invited to lunch. It was getting a little awkward. Mom grinned sympathetically. Her comment meant to lighten the mood, not bring it back down. Mom tried again to get things moving forward. Why don't you kids go have fun? You all can come back in about an hour. We'll make enough for everyone. Mom nodded in agreement.
Sounds good.
Another stunning idea, Lonnie. Thanks.
Thank you.
That sounds like a plan then. I don't want to cramp your style. I've got some stuff to work on, so I can be out of your hair this afternoon. You should come by later too. No reason you should be the odd man out. Mom seemed amused as Cliff rubbed his neck nervously. He grinned a wavering but pleased smile.
Thanks very much.
I appreciate the invite. He looked over the assembled crowd with knowing glances. I can help too, with as many people as you're feeding. That's gonna be a lot of food. Didn't you hear what we told Derek? It wouldn't be fair to make you cook when we're the ones who are inviting you in. Ma raised an eyebrow when Cliff waved it off.
Come on.
I insist. Derek will be missing time with his pals. This will be a break for me. I'm quite the chef. Ma and Mom exchanged further glances before Mom shrugged.
True.
An airtight argument. If you're sure, we'll be happy. Sorry, excuse me. If you're sure, we'll be happy to have you, Chef Cliff. Cliff's grin widened and seemed more hyped than you'd expect him to be about helping with lunch. Cove shook his head, a fond smile on his face. Then all us grown-up people will be heading inside. I assume the rest of you kiddos are staying out? Maybe not all of them. Ma tilted her head, a silent question for Elizabeth. Your sister thought for a moment.
All right.
I'll stay with the kids.
That's fantastic.
Both your moms smiled at her, while Derek and Cove didn't seem to appreciate her phrasing. But with the plan decided, all three parents waved and headed for your house. It was just you teenagers now. Oh.
We reached our followers' goal of 4. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you very much. But with the plan decided, all three parents waved and headed for your house. It was just you teenagers now. Elizabeth looked at you and the others, a curious expression on her face.
So?
What now? You silently wondered if Elizabeth only stayed out with you to avoid getting roped into work. Then again, she could just genuinely want to hang out. You couldn't tell with your sister. Cove spoke up after no one else did to answer Elizabeth's question. Want to go down to the shopping street? It's been a while, and I don't think there's a lot of other things we could agree on. Yeah, sure.
Awesome.
Sounds awesome to me. Unlike you guys, I haven't been there 1,001 times. It's new to me. Let's do it? Okay. If you guys really want to. There's nothing else to do. Let's do it. You strolled across the road as a group, down to the beach and then to the left. It took less than 15 minutes to arrive. One of the conveniences of Sunset Bird. The four of you looked around at the familiar shops, trying to see if anything caught your attention this time. Derek was the most enthusiastic. He checked out every stall with his eyes wide with wonder. Elizabeth and Cove were in good spirits as well. That's so cool! He ran over to a street magician who was currently doing a card trick for a group of enchanted tourists. Derek clapped when the magician showed a middle-aged man his card. Derek turned back to the group with a curious gleam on his face. What does it take to perform here anyway? Do you have to ask somebody, or do you just show up and start doing stuff? Who would you even ask? It's a public street. Hey, Miss Mare, can I pull a rabbit out of my house, please? Flopsy is well behaved, I promise. Derek chuckled, his eyes searching up and down the scene.
Maybe?
Maybe there's a boss of the shopping street? No one does any of this around my neighborhood. It's just regular stores behind walls. It's different if someone wants a real store, but here I'm pretty sure people are just putting on their little shows whatever they want and do whatever. That's so neat. Would Bee be allowed to do something too? Cove laughed and Derek began almost vibrating with excitement. Elizabeth rolled her eyes. What would we do? Well, I don't know. I don't know what. Not yet. I mean, I just found out it's a possibility, you know?
What?
There's got to be something. We know cool stuff. I'm sure if we think about it, we could plan a show that would really get a crowd pumped. You thought it was a great idea and wanted to be a part of it. You felt he could try this idea on his own. You thought Derek needed to abandon that bad idea stat. You gave a look to the other two. It doesn't tell me what kind of look. A look. What look? Okay. I mean, me and my mini save files. Hang on a second. I'm gonna save here. Yeah, I'm gonna save there. And the thing is, I think Ty won't mind being a part of it. I don't know if he'd think it was a great idea. I'm curious what the look is. I'm just gonna click that and then I'm going to come back and probably choose this one because I don't know what the look is. Like, what kind of look? Derek continued to brainstorm out loud about different potential performances while you glanced over at Cove and Elizabeth. I mean, I could bounce a soccer ball on my head. Last time I tried, I got 8 bounces before it fell. I wouldn't bring a ball here.
Why?
Cove gestured to everything around, the stalls, the people, and the colorful chaos that made up the shopping street. Would you want to chase a lost ball here? And what if it hits somebody? Even if you're good, someone else could bump into you. That's true. Derek thought about it some more. Then he watched another performer and a woman doing tricks with two small dogs. One was fluffy and cream colored, while the other was a cool gray. The woman held up rings. Both animals jumped through the openings, happy to receive a treat at the end. Derek brightened. Maybe I'll teach crabs how to race. Crabs? It could work. With some amusement, the gang continued to peruse the stalls. Elizabeth found some earrings with a dangling, badly misprinted globe that everyone laughed at. Cove picked out a blob as Iceland, but Derek thought it had to be Greenland. You know, this is a world with what looks like 9 continents. I think you're both wrong. You wanted to side with Cove. You backed up Derek. You agreed with your sister. No, it's Australia. You stayed out of it. Ty might agree with this. Like there's 4 different choices here. You can side with someone or just say something separately. I guess there's 5 choices because you can also say nothing. But I think Ty's I think Ty is likely to either joke about it or just like laugh along with his sister, and that is the truth of the matter. Let's see. Okay, we're gonna agree with the sister. With Elizabeth. I don't know why I called her the sister. It's because of the things with your sister. Okay. Elizabeth makes a good point. Suddenly, Cove froze. You stared at him and then tried to see what caught his attention. You saw a familiar face down the way. It all made sense. Between the crowds, his bright hair stood out like a neon green bowl in a kitchen sink. It was Jeremy. Jeremy slowly drifted his eyes down the street, and his eyes widened in mutual recognition. He definitely noticed you. Derek frowned and Cove sighed. Neither of them were happy to see him again. You stood there shocked. You glared at Jeremy. You waved at Jeremy. You decided to smile at Jeremy. You looked away. Yeah, Ty might just look away because he's like, well, you know, he's probably not going to say anything to us anyway. He didn't even like talking to us, so moving on. Do that one. You didn't even want to start with Jeremy's shenanigans today. Elizabeth raised an eyebrow. Her gaze swept over Jeremy without a hint of a clue. Jeremy simply scoffed to himself and waded deeper into the crowd of people. Derek relaxed and exhaled loudly. I'm glad he's not going to start anything. He peeked over at Elizabeth with a tiny smirk. See, that was the mean kid.
What?
Huh? She still didn't get it. That first summer day hadn't made nearly as much of an impression on her as it did for Derek, but he smiled and waved it off. Just forget about him. I already have. He laughed and Cove smiled lightly. He seemed to be in a much better mood now that Jeremy was gone. Your eyes wandered over to where Jeremy disappeared. You hadn't forgotten the day you had met him either. He was only going to be in town for a vacation with people he hated. That glimpse was probably the last time you'd ever see him. You mentioned that realization to everyone. You kept the thought to yourself. Yeah, okay, is Ty gonna mention like, oh yeah, it's probably the last time we'll ever see him? Because I was gonna keep that thought to myself. Yeah, Ty will just, well. Here I go again. Okay, Ty will keep the thought to himself. Elizabeth snapped her fingers in front of your face. Apparently you had spaced out. Cove and Derek were already at the next stall. Come on, unless you want to get left here. You nodded and caught up with the others. Cove raised an eyebrow. What were you thinking about? Nothing. He gave you a searching look, but let it drop when Derek yelled at you to go check something out. You couldn't help but wonder, though, what would have happened if you had interacted with Jeremy more? You're glad that you wouldn't find out. Jeremy was unlike anyone you had ever met before. You thought he was horrible. You thought he was weird. You thought he was stupid. You thought he was kind of pitiful. You thought he was kind of okay. You didn't know what to think about him. Hang on. I'm gonna Google a word to make sure. Excuse me. Oh my gosh. Sorry, I just whew. Sometimes my throat does this weird thing. Yep, that's why I drank some water just now. It was kind of pitiful. You didn't know what to think about him. I think Ty is between just being like, cause like he doesn't have positive feelings for him, but I think, I don't think he thinks he's okay. He's just like, kind of pitiful. Cause that kind of mean. Let's see. Pity is the feeling of sorrow and compassion caused by the suffering and misfortunes of others. A cause for regret or disappointment. Feeling sorrow for the misfortunes of others. Wait, but if you feel... Let me put it pitiful now. I know, right? Why am I stuck on another simple one? Let's just choose one. Okay. Deserving or arousing pity. Very, very small or poor, inadequate. I don't know. I'll just click this one maybe. Cause I just feel like Ty doesn't feel too strongly. They only had one interaction. Okay, we'll just go with this one. You and the group moved down from the stall and from Jeremy. It didn't take long for everyone to return to the joking. You all enjoyed what little time you had left. As Elizabeth mentioned, the hour was almost up. The little trip had flown by, and lunch must have been waiting for you now. Derek bounced on the balls of his feet.
Okay.
It got a little loud, huh? There we go. I know it's probably gonna mess up the audio levels later. I'm probably a little too comfortable just changing the audio mid-video, but it's okay. Probably not gonna actually mess it up that bad. Anyway, sorry. Come on, guys. Let's get going so we can eat. I'm starving. If we have to. I can't wait. Phew, I've had enough walking around. Homeward bound, here we go. You nodded silently. I think Ty's homeward bound. Here we go. Cove stretched one of his arms lazily. Let's go then. You looked at him appraisingly. You asked Cove to carry you back to the house. You nodded at him. Yeah, I think, I don't, It's so abrupt, like, I have to think about, like, if Ty would come up with that, but I don't know that he, We'll just nod at him. Then you followed Elizabeth as she took it upon herself to lead the way home. She walked fast, much faster than Derek preferred. She kept gaining a lead, and then Derek would jog back up to the group. With Cove's long legs, he had no trouble keeping up. He's got no trouble keeping up. Let's see. She walked fast, much faster than Derek preferred. She kept gaining a lead, then Derek would jog back up to the group. With Cove's long legs, he had no trouble keeping up, which means so this is like Elizabeth and then Cove. Okay, you moved to the front with Elizabeth. You walked side by side with Cove. You stayed with Derek. Yeah, Ty's not walking that fast. Ty's not going fast unless he needs to. So, that's what he's gonna stay back with Derek because let the fast people do their thing. You gave Derek some company, which made him brighten up considerably. He brought up his idea of trying to make up a performance again, and you listened to his plans. For the most part, you could tell he was being silly on purpose, but there was a shine in his eyes. You both got so engrossed in conversation that you didn't notice how far you'd fallen behind your sister until Cove looked over his shoulder and shouted something. Derek grinned at you, then tried to make it a race to catch up with Elizabeth. It was a pleasant walk home, and in no time you had made it back. Derek got the front door and held it open for everyone as you each moseyed inside. The three parents were still in the kitchen. They looked up and waved. Welcome back, everyone. You made it just in time.
Hey,
I hope you're hungry. So, did everyone have a nice time out? She gestured for people to take a seat at the table. Plates and silverware have already been placed out. You took your normal seat. Elizabeth sat across from you, and Derek took the seat to your left. Cove sat on your right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we had a great time. It was fine. I had fun. I really liked it. It was okay, I guess. Yeah, the bank heist went off without a hitch. Yep, Ty's goofy. We're going that one. Your joke got some chuckles that are going around the table. That's good in my book. Casually, Mr. Holden sat in the empty seat across from Cove. He smiled at you and all the other kids. Mom set down a platter full of water glasses on the table. She looked down at the gathering. It's a good thing we have 8 chairs. I can't remember the last time we've had a group this big over for a meal. Can you pass the drinks down to the other side? Make sure you all get one. Sure. Those close to the cups obliged and started offering waters around. As everything got set up, Ma chided Elizabeth to take her elbows off the table.
No.
And you shouldn't slouch. She pointed to Mr. Holden, who was leaning forward with both arms on the table. Oops. Mr. Holden seemed unsure about Mr. Holden seemed unsure about all the sudden attention and carefully rearranged his posture to something suitable for a fancy dinner. He smiled sheepishly at Ma. Elizabeth rolled her eyes, and Ma gave a level look at her. And you shouldn't be impolite to a guest in the house either. Elizabeth groaned, long and long-suffering. Ma giggled, and Mr. Holden chuckled.
not bad.
A lot of you could learn a thing or two from Derek. He has the best manners here. Derek blushed, but it was true. His posture was upright and formal. He even held his fork gracefully. His table manners, on top of all his attempts to aid your parents, made him the model of meal attendee behavior.
Aw,
It's nothing. It's true, though. You have been a lovely guest. I've noticed that, too. It's always nice when you stay over, Derek. Derek smiled and sat a little taller in his chair. And do you have anything good to say about our other guest? She looked deliberately at Cove with a teasing smirk. Or is there just nothing to say? Well, Cove is my number one, but he does still clean his hands by wiping them on his pants. Cove frowned at that and absentmindedly brushed his hands on his pant legs. Your mom's laughed lightly.
There.
Elizabeth, you should know after all these years, Cove is hardly a guest anymore. Cove smiled awkwardly. Thanks. Manners. Who cares? I don't think it's that big of a deal. You teased Cove over his bad habit. You complimented Derek on his politeness. You joked that Derek was basically an adult. You kept quiet and took a bite of food. Okay, this is Ty we're talking about. Ty does care about the neatness of things. So he's not the first two for sure. Teased Cove for his bad habit, complimented Derek on his politeness, kept quiet and took a bite of food. Let's see. Well, here we go again. Okay, let's see. Okay, we'll just save right here. Okay. I probably should do one of these two. But Ty is more of a jokey person than I saved. I can okay, we'll try this one. We'll see how it goes. I'm leaving myself open to rewind if I feel like it. If I feel like I can make it more accurate, I suppose I should say. Okay. Don't think I'm letting the pants thing go. Cove looked over at the window, not wanting to face the truth. Everyone at the meal together. I can read. That says 8. Everyone ate their meal together and continued to hang out for the afternoon. After the food, you and the others played a couple games and talked about plans for the upcoming year. Time passed by quickly, and soon it was time to part ways. Mr. Holden talked to your moms, and Cove drifted over to you, knowing that as soon as his dad finished up, he would be leaving. It'd be cool to stay, but we have some stuff to do before everything closes today.
Okay.
Yeah, bye. Could you move? I need the phone. Cove raised an eyebrow, and Elizabeth impatiently gestured behind him. Cove realized he was standing right in front of where the receiver was placed. He sidestepped out of the way and shook his head, clearly thinking Elizabeth was rushing too much. Your sister made a beeline for the phone and started dialing the number of what you figured was one of her friends. Knowing Elizabeth, she was going to be on there for a while. You, Cove, and Derek shuffled closer to the door. It seemed like Mr. Holden was wrapping up his conversation, so everyone started saying their various farewells.
Talk to you later.
See you later, Cove. We gotta do this again sometime. Yeah, see you. Cove turned to you and smiled slightly. Bye, Ty. You hugged Cove goodbye. You patted Cove on the back. You nudged Cove's shoulders. You ruffled Cove's hair. You waved. Well, Cove's taller than him, so he won't do that one. He did greet him with a nudge before in one of the earlier summer moments. So, I'm tempted to do that one. Yeah, we'll keep it. We'll keep it. You elbowed Cove's shoulder playfully. I'll see you later. I hope so. It's been fun. He grinned widely and nudged you back. There was a warm look in his eyes that you wondered when you'd see again.
Dude.
Seriously, dude. Well, we'll have to hang out later. I'm gonna miss you during school. He offered Cove a high five, and the two boys clapped their hands together. Cove and his dad left soon after that. Your parents started cleaning up the house, and Elizabeth was still chatting to her friends on the phone. It was just you and Derek left. He elected to stay outside in front of the house to wait for his dad to pick him up. You decided to keep your guest company, although he was originally Cove's visitor. A light summer breeze blew through your hair, and Derek shifted his weight from foot to foot. Thanks for waiting with me. He kicked at the ground distractedly.
Well,
Dad's still gonna be a while, so do you want to go for a walk? Sure, I don't mind. The two of you walked down the street again, just wandering without a destination planned. It was a quiet stroll, too quiet for Derek being the company. You turned to him when you had noticed he wasn't saying a word. That was unusual. Derek always had something he could chat about. You weren't sure if you should ask about it. Somehow you ended up at the old park near the beach. You glanced over to Derek once more, still expecting him to say something any second now. However, nothing came from him. In fact, now you noticed a frown creeping on his face. Derek smiled when he realized you were watching. At least his mouth was turned up. There wasn't anything that really felt happy in the expression. He turned away and the smile fell off his face. His eyes stared intently at the ground, and you raised an eyebrow. Is everything okay? If you want to talk about something, I'm here. Derek, what's going on? You kept quiet? Okay, we'll go if you want to talk about something, I'm here. I'm a little sad. It's just with school starting back up, it's going to be harder to visit. I'm going to have homework and clubs and practices and everything else.
this sucks.
It really sucks we go to different schools. His face screwed up and his fists were closed tightly together. This was really concerning him. What if we don't have time? You channeled some optimism into the conversation. You shared those worries. Ty's gonna channel some optimism into the conversation. We'll make time. We can talk over the phone and have plans for weekends. It'll be okay. Derek looked up at the sky. It was orange and purple with little wisps of clouds. Scattered around. A plane flew high with a jet stream trailing behind it. Then he turned to the ground again. Derek's face was tilted far enough down that it was harder to read his expression. Hey, Ty, I actually wanted to talk to you about something, if you don't mind. There was a pause. You waited for him to finish his thought.
Sorry.
I was just kind of wondering, do you like guys at all? Like, would you ever want to be with someone who was a boy? Sorry if it's weird to ask. I could be with a guy. Maybe. I don't know. You didn't answer him. I kind of don't want to talk about that. It's the first one. Okay, then he hesitated before finishing his question.
So,
What I mean is, is there any guy you think is kind of cool that you like around here? Not at school or anything like that? He ducked his head further. You thought about it. I like you. Well, I like Cove. Mr. Holden. There are a lot of guys I think are cool. Not right now. I don't really want to say that. Time's not very direct, so he's probably not gonna directly say his hand that he likes Cove because his tie's awkward. Let's see. I think you're gonna go with this one. There are a lot of guys I think you're cool. Yeah. That's so funny. I know there are people who that would. Just Ty's not.
Oh.
Derek shrugged and started to mumble and wonder. Maybe you don't get what I'm trying to ask. So Derek pulled himself together somewhat meekly. He looked at you while he tried to project confidence. His posture was too tight for you to believe it. He was nervous.
All right.
You know, thinking ahead and everything is important. You gotta get yourself a game plan and all that. It's good to make plans, especially backup plans. He babbled, all full of energy and forced gusto. Well, anyways, I heard about this thing where people make pacts with their good friends that if they don't find anyone else, then they get together. Together, like get married and stuff. So I was thinking, since it's good to have plans, it might be cool if we did something like that. His eyes widened, and he started to make frantic hand gestures. Just, then we'd never have to worry about the future or finding someone. We could set it like a whole decade in the future. Forever from now. We'd have graduated high school and probably college too. We'd have jobs and be really grown up. I mean, we'd probably have our own places, maybe our own pets and student loans and cars. Derek babbled on for a while more. Hi. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Derek babbled on for a while more. It was as if all the words he held in silence during your walk had burst out now all at once. Oh, I'm doing all right. Just gonna finish up the end scene and then probably that'll be it for today. But I usually stream this on Mondays in general. How are you? So yeah, what do you think? That's a good idea. I think having a backup plan sounds smart. You accepted the deal because you were fond of Derek. I'll think about it. I don't think that would work. I'm sorry, Derek. Do you like me? It's good to hear that you're doing well too. Okay. What hobbies do you have? I'm a bit of a writer. I call myself an aspiring screenwriter because I was like in film throughout my life.
Really?
should I have said I'll think about it? I get indecisive.
Really?
Yeah, I'll just go with this one. Really awesome. Derek brightened significantly and started to bounce excitedly on the balls of his feet.
Okay.
Okay then, let's do it. Oh, I got a picture. Thank you. What about you? He held out his hand, offering a shake. Officially, he repeated the terms of the deal. If in 10 years, I, Derek Suarez, am still single, and if 10 years you, Tyrone Jones, are still single, we both agree that the two of us will get together. He took his hand and shook it firmly as Derek beamed.
It's a deal.
Thanks. I feel better about the future already. I guess it's working out. He laughed and scratched the back of his head. You could tell he was giddy about this, and you felt happy too. Oh, that's cool. Oh, I guess what kind of stuff do you draw? You didn't spend much longer at the park after that. Derek didn't want to miss his dad, so you both made your way back to your street. Derek's steps forward seemed lighter than before. After Derek went back home, you decided to settle in for the night. Digital art. My little character here, I drew as well, digitally. I did the sketch on paper, but I did the art here digitally. After Derek went back home, you decided to settle in for the night. Stretching your arms over your head, you noticed that the living room and the phone were free. Thank you. You took it easy. You called Lee. Do you have like a website or a Tumblr or something? I guess I'll ask. You picked up the receiver and quickly punched in the familiar number while going to take a seat on the couch. I do, but I don't really like I don't really use it in this sense, yeah, it's not technically, but not really. Soon enough, after explaining the situation to the housekeeper, Lee answered.
Hey!
Hi, Lee, can you talk? Okay. Definitely, we practically have to. My gosh, can you believe it's almost time for school to start? What happened to our summer? School starts first thing tomorrow for me.
Bill.
Ew, and I thought starting next week was bad enough. Okay, I'll check it out afterwards when I'm done. I can I'll at least take a look. And I thought starting next week was bad enough. Enjoy your last week. Oh, I will. I hope you'll survive your first day. I think it'll be okay. School isn't too bad. It's the same. It's the same name. Did I read that? Oh, yeah, school isn't too bad. That's true. Maybe it'll end up being. Maybe it'll end up being a really good year. And at least summer was nice while it lasted, right? We were busy. Yeah. Fondly, you thought about all the best memories you made this summer. Lee was there for some. Lee was there for some, but there were still many you hadn't filled her in on yet. You reminisced about a moment of your summer. You moved on to talk about her. Oh, you could probably do both then, right? Let's see. Oh, have we talked about the trip yet? You begin to speak about the road trip. We'll do the road trip. Oh, I didn't read them all. Sorry, wait. The road trip you took, that one day with the big shopping trip in the morning, that time you went to Cove's house for dinner, that incredibly hot afternoon. The road trip. I don't know why my brain completely blinked for a second. I really gotta get off soon. Okay, at 12:21. I went on vacation. Co's parents ended up inviting my whole family on an RV road trip.
Really?
Whoa, that's awesome. It was a 3-day trip. We visited the Redwood National Forest. Lucky. Oh, shoot, I forgot. Hang on. I forgot. I forgot. I forgot to use a different one. I'll get back to you. I'm sorry, hang on. The park was amazing. It was fun hanging out with everyone all together. I really liked riding in an RV for the first time. Cove was flirting with me on the trip. Cove snuck up into the loft where I was staying. It was fun hanging out with everyone all together. I hope the RV wasn't small. Lee laughed, trying to imagine how busy it must have been for 7 people sharing such a little space. The thought had you laughing too. You remembered the ups and downs of the trip. You were happy Mr. Holden and Kyra invited you. It wasn't bad. We had a good time. And then we'll move on and talk just about her. What was your big highlight of the summer, Lee? Talking to you is always the best part of my summer. Even though it was a phone call, you just knew that Lee was winking at you. You laughed. You shook your head. Come on, tell me. Good, I'm glad you picked the right answer. I think Ty's gonna laugh. Alright, okay, so a high point for me was when I took that trip with my parents to Europe. That was amazing. You and Lee continued to go over your adventures until you were both yawning to each other over the phone. At that, you decided it was time to say goodbye for now. You did have school to wake up for in the morning. Bye, Lee.
Bye.
Night, Ty. Talk to you later. You left the phone on the side table for now. Looking at the clock on the wall, you saw that there was only about 10 minutes until your moms would be insisting that you had to go to bed so you could be rested enough for school. You stretched your legs out on the couch and sighed in defeat, watching the minute hand change 1 minute closer to bedtime. You rearranged yourself, feeling restless, and looked out the window. Initially, you spotted a figure out in the hills. It was Cove. When the surprise faded, you realized it really wasn't that much of a shock at all. It was exactly something Cove would do. You went outside to meet up with him. You ran off to go see him. You left him alone. You smacked the window to get his attention. You opened the window to call out to him. Let's see. I should have highlighted them as I read them. Oh my goodness. Oh shoot. This isn't. Okay. What's Ty gonna do? He might smack the window to get his attention. I also might just call out to him, or just go out there. Let's see. Okay, I gotta think about my other characters. I think Miles would do that. Leilani might. Leilani's one of these two. Paisley likes to see her friends, so she might be this one. She also might be that one, though. Sabrina's probably this one. Ryan is one of these two, I think. So yeah, we'll go ahead and smack the window. Grinning, you sneakily crept over to the window. When you were right in front of the glass, you slapped both your hands hard against it. Cove's body visibly jumped where he stood and his head whipped around, trying to find the source of the noise. When he noticed the clattering in the window behind him, a window from your house, he tried to shake his head in disapproval, but even from that distance you knew he was smiling. Amused with your own antics, you waved at Cove. Yeah, then Ty will go out there. Strolling casually, you went over to the front door. When you arrived, you noticed how many fireflies were out that night. They drifted along lazily, barely minding your presence as you waded through to reach the top of the hill. Cove turned towards you as you approached, and you noticed right away that Cove was still a little sour about the scare. Hi. You grinned in response to Cove's look, and he shook his head in defeat. Sighing dramatically, he seemed to finally let it go. Hey, what are you doing out here?
Nothing.
Nothing, not really. He shrugged, seeming unhappy with his own answer. You stared at him, waiting for him to continue. Well, I guess I was feeling kind of weird about stuff, so I'm getting some fresh air before bed. You should really go to sleep. I know how you feel. I feel good. I hope you feel better. You shrugged back. You nodded. You should really go to sleep. How do you feel? You shrugged back. You nodded. I hope you feel better, I guess. I don't know. I don't know why this one... See, it's always the simple ones that I get stuck on. It's always the simple ones. Yeah, I'm just gonna save over here. I guess I could have saved right there. Too late now. Ha, look, future me is gonna be so confused. Gonna think these are related. They are not related. So it's probably for the better that I didn't put them right next to each other. Okay. I hope you feel better. Nodded. Hope you feel better. His mouth pulled into a bent smile. He spoke so quietly that you almost missed it. I think I will. Cove let himself fall back onto his butt and then all the way down, so he was laying on his back. He looked up at the sky. You laid down yourself. You sat in the grass. You stood there. You sat on his chest. Oh, what are you, a cat? You lay down yourself. You lowered yourself to lay back on the hill. You had been lost in thought, or possibly he had been lost in thought, or possibly waiting for you to situate yourself. Then he started speaking unprompted again. Thanks for telling me about my dad and the money he offered you to be my friend. This was probably the last thing you were expecting out of him. Cove seemed to pick up on that and stretched his arms out wide in front of him.
I mean...
This is where we met, remember? It happened that day. You could recall the sad little boy with the pink cast who you found in this very spot. It felt like a long time ago. I kind of have a strange feeling looking at you. Not in a bad way, just thinking about you then and really seeing you now. It's something. He turned his face away from you. You got the impression he was trying to hide a blush. It was almost unbelievable how much of an impact he made on your life just by moving in next door. You couldn't even imagine what your days might have looked like in a world where you hadn't met him. Cove glanced back at you, waiting for a response, and you had no idea what to say. Cove just stared at you unblinkingly. What? It's you. Huh? He snickered before answering. He looked thoroughly amused with your reaction. That's what you do all the time, so I'm being you. You do that all the time too. So do you, Cove. You were stunned he noticed enough to take note of it. I don't do it that much. Not being able to argue with his assessment, you accepted it. You felt bashful about his joke. My reading comprehension is a little slow. Hang on. He turned his face away from you. You got the impression he was trying to hide a blush. It was almost unbelievable how much of an impact he made in your life just by moving in next door. You couldn't even imagine what your days might have looked like in a world where you hadn't met him. Cove glanced back at you, waiting for a response. You had no idea what to say. He just stared at you unblinkingly. Okay. I get it now. Just the staring. The staring. That's yeah. I get it. I'm not super slow, just a little bit. Or not slow, but like I my speed in understanding things isn't the fastest because I genuinely struggle a little bit with reading comprehension sometimes. Yes, so it's okay. I'm used to being compared to like a turtle in molasses for various things. So that's what I mean. Yeah, it's been said before. I know. Usually physically, but like yeah. Let's just choose an answer. I think I read all these already, so let's choose one. What did Ty do at that? Ty. Okay, what would Ty do here? This is a joke. He knows it's a joke, but he wouldn't argue with his assessment. He just accepted it. Okay, let's go through my other characters, because yeah, how would they respond to these things? Ryan is probably this one. Miles is this one. Okay, well, we'll try this one, and if I change my mind, I change my mind. That's just how it goes. That one, okay, so I guess I can save over it. Well, I can't decide on things. Oh my goodness. Let's see. Oh, I didn't actually properly ask a question. Wait. I'm just gonna get a new coin. Okay. Top choice, bottom choice. That'll be my question. And the coin will tell me. Top choice. Okay, we'll try this, but if I don't like it, I'm gonna come back. Really? Yes, always. Cove couldn't help but grin at that. Honestly, there weren't many people you could think of who could tease you about something like that. Returning a smile, you realized there was no denying you two have been around each other for a long time. Cove broke the quiet before it could fully settle.
See you tomorrow.
So he said it. He said, see you tomorrow. So yeah, see you then. With a final wave, Cove headed for home. But you stayed there a few minutes longer. Your mind kept going back to a simple statement. See you tomorrow. No matter how much was changing around you, there were some things in your life that always seemed to remain true. The hills felt warm to you that night. Before you knew it, you were getting comfortable under the covers in your room. Your mind couldn't help but still be buzzing with thoughts about the future. You felt, how does Ty feel about the future? I'm starting to wonder if I chose that one option wrong and if you should have just thought about it. The one with, I didn't think very long on it, and maybe that's the problem. I answered so quickly, but I was thinking, sorry, I'm like side railing, so I don't think I even saved there, did I? I didn't. Okay, but when he was talking with Derek and there was the thing, let's see, it's like the backup plan thing. Backup plans are good, and I feel like, but it's true because I feel like he would be okay with doing that. I could see him and Ryan doing that, even though they don't. Oops, spoiler. Ryan's not his love interest. If that's only a little bit of a spoiler. It's not really, but I only talk. Well, it could be a different character that I have not mentioned, or maybe it's not. Who knows? But anyways, the point is, Ryan doesn't even wear glasses, so that was already a. But yeah, the point is that I really do think Ty would make that kind of deal with his friends if they offered. I feel a little bad because I don't even have Derek's DLC. I can't even follow through with it if I wanted to. But oh right, we're looking at a different question right now. Also, I think I said the wrong thing earlier on that. I actually don't use this name a lot. Well, I use it some places, but I think I gave it to the wrong one. Which I apologize for that. Chat pause, do just scroll. So I'll worry about that later. Excited, nervous, unsure. How does Ty feel about the future? That's a great question. How does Ty feel about the future? Excited for it? Nervous about it? Unsure? See, it's always the simple ones. I get stuck on the simplest things. Okay, let's think. Life's pretty decent. That's pretty good. Starting up school. Everything's fine. I guess we can just say he's excited. Well, wait, let me see. Actually, let me read each of these sentences and then I'll decide. Because, you know, sometimes they go exactly to what I think fits, okay? We're going to have to do each one because then it'll help me know which answer is the correct one. There was little doubt in your mind that things were moving forward and you couldn't wait to find out what changes were waiting for you on the horizon. Okay, so then if we click nervous instead, every bit of your gut felt like it was being turned into a pretzel. A new chapter of your life was about to begin and you were worried what new changes were waiting for you. Okay, and if we click unsure, a new chapter of your life was about to begin and no one could say what it was going to be like. Excited, unsure. We'll go with excited. I know I clicked on it and then I went back on all them. Unsure was a pretty decent one. But I think the thing is, I think Ty's not expecting many changes in general. I think he's ready for things to be mostly as they are, if that makes sense. It's not that he's avoidant of change or anything, like some characters might be. But Ty's also not like, I don't think he's thinking like, yeah, things are gonna change and I'm excited to see what does. So I think it's just that Ty is incorrect in this situation, because I think he's just like, yep, everything's good and everything will stay like this. But it's not like he's against change, and change doesn't make him feel bad. It's just like he's not thinking about how much would change, because I think he's thinking things are getting to a good place to keep it. If that makes sense. Slowly your eyes grew heavy as you drifted off to sleep, your mind spinning with wishful thoughts. No matter what happened next, you could only hope that you would make the most of it. You were ensnared in a dream when a noise from the outside world jostled you in the world. When a noise from the Yep, I got this. You were ensnared in a dream when a noise from the outside world jostled you. Your eyes snapped open. Noises happened. You just tried to forget it. You stubbornly kept your eyes pressed shut. I think Ty's probably gonna be like, what was that? You know, like sometimes you hear noise, you just have to know what it is. And I think Ty is one of those people who are like, who's gonna at least check his area first, you know? Like, just in case, you know? Like, was it a noise from my dream or was it like a noise like outside? The light clatter continued. Now that you were more alert, you could distinguish it as a tapping sound. Quiet, slow, but persistent. Each beat was like being poked. You couldn't ignore it. You lifted your head from the pillow and looked for the source. Not much work was needed to puzzle it out. It was from the window. With that, you knew exactly what it was. From the color of the light filtering into your room, it was too early for anyone to be awake, including the sun. It had barely hauled itself over the horizon, but that didn't stop some people, it seemed. You sat up in your bed and opened the window wide. Cool air, not yet warmed by the day, tickled your face as it pushed into your room. And just as you'd expected, There was your neighbor, crouching on your windowsill. He was fully dressed, though not for school. He was wearing a wetsuit and a shy smile.
Hi.
You stared back, blinking. So technically we won't be back to school for a few more hours. His voice was delicate. It was delicate yet deliberate. Each word a careful explanation. Classes haven't actually started yet. So do you want to hit the beach with me one more time this summer? Always. Here we go again. It's way too early, Cove. You're crazy. Cove, you're so cute. You gave a decisive nod. What's Ty gonna say? Once I hit that save screen, you know what's coming. You know what's coming. It's me. It's me being indecisive. Hang on a second. I gotta find a good spot to save. Oh. Well, that's a decent spot. It was just the manners thing, and I think that didn't change. Well, so it was a small interaction. So that's fine. Okay, because I'm curious what gets said at this one. But I've narrowed it down to 3. So this one, and the decisive nod. Well, actually, but no, he's not gonna call him crazy. Always. Here we go again. But I don't know what the. See, again, I always go. But how will it be taken? What is the tone? Because I can see Ty saying this like with a little bit of a laugh, like here we go again, you know. We'll try it, but I might rewind and choose something else if I don't vibe. And that's I know. You're supposed to choose your options and just go with it. There's technically no right answer, but when you're playing in character, there is right answers because it's what the character would do. So maybe all in all, maybe I just made this harder on myself. I'm kidding. I like playing as a character. It's more entertaining to play as a character than if I didn't play as a specific character. But doesn't everyone play this game? Well, not. Anyways. Your comment was half-hearted, and you both knew it. Only Cove would think of something like this, and that was part of what made him special to you. Cove chuckled conspiratorially, his smile widening. You rushed to get changed into something suitable while Cove climbed back down to ground level. Your limbs, still half asleep, struggled somewhat as you attempted to coordinate them into a swimsuit, but you got there in the end. Soon you were tiptoeing out your front door, clutching a towel. Cove was already there to greet you. Your eyes met. Cove's gaze darted to your destination and back to you. You checked the door was closed, gave him a thumbs up, and the two of you leapt into action. Wordlessly, you began to run down the familiar path ahead, Cove beside you. The thrill of your illicit outing made you want to laugh. Not that you dared. If anyone in your family, the thrill of your illicit outing made you want to laugh. Not that you dared. If anyone in your family looked out and saw you, then your summer would be back to being over. Okay, made you want to laugh, but you didn't laugh because you didn't want to get caught. I got it. I figured it out. One glance at Cove told you that he was exactly the same, holding back snickers for fear of being heard and caught. The towel streamed out from under your arm like a cape. You were running so fast downhill that simply keeping your balance was not tumbling was a real threat. It just wasn't enough of one to make you slow your pace. For every step you took, the beach was a little closer, and the day a little brighter. what lay ahead for you would arrive, and you were happy to meet it. Okay, we are at the in-between, so let me save. I have to save here because I'm gonna get off now. This is fun, but it's been a long time, and I usually am done sooner than this. I don't know where to save. I don't know where to save. Okay, we'll just save right here. That'll be fine. Okay, we're doing this is the in-between, so we'll start with the in-between next time. Yeah. Thank you for watching. Let's return to the menu. Okay, thank you for watching. I got 2 followers today, so that's cool. Thank you for following. Let me see if I can get the... Yeah, so I've accomplished a goal. I'll set another one soon, but I'll have to decide on it. Like, what's the next number? But this is cool. 5 followers is a big number for me. It was exciting. Thursday I will be back, and I will probably play Taylor Tells, though I also realized that my laptop isn't... Oh, wait. Let me, Oh, wait, before I go on. Was I right? Oh, we got one. We didn't get the other one. Oh, his default is a different... Yeah, okay, well, anyways, sorry, I blinked. Okay, well, we're done with this here. So let me... here I am. Thanks for watching. I'm just gonna do a quick wrap up here. Right, I'll be back on Thursday, probably with Taylor Tells, because that was my original plan. But also, I'm not entirely sure, because I realized that Taylor Tells might be a little strong for my laptop. Because when I watch back the videos, it always, sometimes the frames get stuck, and then like it'll have to skip forward. Like the audio's fine, but like the am I too loud? Me always, am I too loud? The audio's fine for the, like you can still hear me reading, but like the video gets all like skippy and cutty, and like it'll like freeze in certain places. So I don't know how to fix that. I might try to fix it, but I don't know what would exactly fix it yet. So the plan is to play more Taylor Tells, but we'll see. Also, I'm debating to starting to play this game on Saturdays, because I don't know, it was really fun last Saturday. But maybe I will, maybe I won't. We'll see what happens. I also still want to at some point play Identity V, but I got a lot of stuff to figure out about that first, like how to play it on here. Yeah, I gotta get off now because my throat is tired. It doesn't want to do anything else. But yeah, so this is cool. This is fun. I enjoy playing. Thanks again for the 2 new follows. As for social media, mainly the ways to find me are here. I have a Tumblr of the same name, and I have a YouTube of the same name. And if you see me anywhere else, maybe you did, maybe you didn't. But because I realized that, like, I have a couple of things that yeah. Anyways, that's that. I will be getting off now. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Bye.